Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Meg.
And I'm Matt.
And this is Ger Can Get It. This week, the trip recap.
Woohoo!
If they gave awards for makeouts on screen or stage, this guy would get a lifetime achievement. He'll find any excuse to get right to second face. You honestly wouldn't believe it. Dissecting each and every kiss with tongue. There's only one conclusion to come to. It's that Ger can get it. Ger can get it.
For the last signature on our posters.
Well, the last that we're likely to get, unless
last that we're likely to get.
Deb Duchenne comes out of hiding.
The last non-active god acquired signatures on our posters.
Look, Ben Blass is some kind of like a therapist or something now. We could just go to therapy and like slowly unroll.
Look, Nigel's wife said she knew him, so there's a possibility.
Oh, you got to make that happen for us.
I was like, oh, just tell him not to listen to any episode where he's in it in the third season of Cavan 81 Kilo. She was like, oh, why? I was like, well, I'm sure he's a lovely person and a lovely actor. But we were not kind to his character.
Yeah, but you didn't say he was a terrible actor, just that the character like should be set on fire.
And I said he was brought on in the third season to bring down the average age of the cast. And Nigel was like, yes.
Correct.
Nodding, so correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think
not controversial.
The most
that's
of the
accurate.
sentiment that we expressed towards Ben Bass as a person or an actor was pity.
For having gotten brought in at the 12th
It's an
hour.
unfortunate situation to be in as an actor. It's like, okay, we're going to drop you into this established story, characters and everything, and make it work.
Yeah.
The fans are going to hate you. The other actors are going to resent you. Enjoy.
Yeah, but
it's going to take work because the writers aren't going to help.
Yeah, it's
we will give you a mullet though.
It's the yes. I'm not the 90s mom hair. Okay. We're doing a recap. This is the wild tour of the Strange and Beautiful Network / Ger Can Get It / Cavan 81 Kilo in August of 2024, where we stormed Stratford for the second time and saw exponentially more plays than last time.
I might have overscheduled us.
Did not eat. Didn't have time to eat.
I forgot I made every year, as is my tradition, my 1-year-old tradition. I made a a guidebook. I made a plan of attack. I was very General Patton. I got it. I went to Kinko's. It was legit and official.
It was bound and everything.
I did not set aside time for eating or sleeping or breathing or relaxing, which it turns out was sort of important. And also it turns out that Stratford, I kind of forgot. There are bars and restaurants that are open after 8 o'clock. We could not find any of them.
We found one.
We found one. Yeah.
On the appropriate night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The night where it mattered, we found one. That was one that was like right
and
behind where you were staying.
Tequila shot.
And we had to have our shot after we saw Ger.
Oh yeah, no. Is it the Bunker? Was that the name of the bar?
It was the bar / tavern, and they have signs up within like 30 miles of Stratford, but I don't remember the name of the place.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, it wasn't on the schedule, so I don't remember.
I know. I didn't schedule it beforehand.
You know what I really think we should pat ourselves on the back for was no matter how busy we were, we didn't miss anything.
That is true.
We did not fail to show up. We were
on time for everything.
We were borderline on time for a couple of things, but we arrived, and that's what counts in the end.
I was late to one thing because of a parking situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parking was worse this time than I remember it being last time. Even though I had the membership level that's supposed to like give us parking, it turns out it gives you parking if there's parking spots.
But it cannot magically create parking spots
which
for
is
you.
disappointing. Yeah. Come on, Stratfest, fix that.
I mean, you should have member-only parking, but then everyone's a member, so
was it the Festival Theater? The one that 12th Night was in. Let me check my brochures in front of me, my pamphlets.
Yeah, the Festival Theater is the big one.
They I know they have special members only parking, but you have to be like like a legit member, like a fancy member, and I am
Oh.
decidedly not a fancy member. I'm on the low end of the spectrum.
Just above plebe.
Just barely.
Yeah. Okay. So should we start on the day we started, which I think was the 16th?
Sure. And while you
'Cause-
do that, I'm looking up them, trying to find the bar because I need to know now.
It starts with a B. It's like
I know it
Bentley's.
started- Wasn't it? Yeah, Bentley
Yeah,
sounds
that sounds right.
Bentley's. That's
Let
in my
me-
head. I'm thinking Bentley's.
Yeah, it was Bentley's. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Where we
I
had
was
our
right.
Triumph. Yeah, they were open
Yes.
for us.
Yeah.
And next time I want to go to the abandoned and terrifying looking Chinese restaurant. Do you remember what it's called? Like, it's got like a weird name. It's like Roy's or like Frank's or
Yeah.
like Ted's. What was it called?
I remember it being very stereotypical.
Terrifying.
Like Ching's or something.
It might have been.
We did finally eat a sandwich at lunchtime in Stratford, though. You had to leave, but
Yeah, you
after
guys
you
did.
left, we had time at Circle Cafe.
I wanted to go to Circle because I keep seeing them on Instagram. They keep posting. And the one day that I was like, oh, we have time together between our first play and our second play, we went over and they're like, sorry, we're closed.
Yeah, they closed at 3.
Right.
We
You
had to have
tried
fish
to
and
squeeze
chips.
it in. You didn't
But
put it on the schedule.
I didn't put it on the
It
schedule. I
failed.
know.
But the fish and chips were good.
I really enjoyed those fish and chips. I was
Yeah,
very
they were
happy
good.
with them. I really like the fish and chip shop. Not that I have the name of that place either.
I
Because
think it was just fish and chips.
Jeans is the Chinese place that looked fucking
Okay.
terrifying from the outside, and I really would like to go there next time. It looks like a Chinese restaurant that opened in the 1950s, and they were like, "Let's never update it. We're not going to clean the outside.
Yeah,
We're not
you
going to
know
change
what
anything."
you're here for. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeans.
And turned out Heritage Hops was closed, like permanently closed.
On account
Womp womp.
felonies, possibly on account of
Allegedly.
Maybe crimes.
Allegedly.
legal peccadillos.
So we once again found
The
fraudsters on
LLC absorbed
accident.
all the liability and
Yeah, it's fine.
declared bankruptcy,
Sure.
as an LLC is designed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no piercing of the corporate veil there. But I stayed at the place that was run by the same lady who used to run Heritage Hops. But I really enjoyed it.
It was like a hotel. It was nice.
Yeah, it was super nice. There's a building right next door. We're right across from the Avon Theater. Like, there are a lot of quality Airbnbs in Stratford. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Not that I remember the name of them, but like, just go to Airbnb and like
It's
Stratford.
right by
you'll find-
Bentley's. It was right by Bentley's.
Yeah, and
Bentley's
that
was
same
in the
little
parking
area.
lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So on the 16th, you arrived. We were already there. And you got there at like 5 and had to be at the theater at 8 for Cymbeline. So you literally ran in, changed your clothes, and ran out. Which
Was
sort of
Cymbeline the very first? Was that
Yeah.
the very first day?
Yep,
Yeah.
8 p.m.
All I remember that first day is getting stuck in the world's worst fucking traffic so I keep flying into American airports just because it ends up being cheaper sometimes. So I flew into Buffalo and then drove across the border, and the 401 was just like, I don't know, it was totally backed up the other way. So what should have taken me 2 hours took me 4 hours
Yeah.
to get in. It was nuts. And then I also like can't follow directions. So I ended up taking like a little detour, like under a bridge next to a river, which I did not expect. So it went from 4 hours to like 4.5 hours of me being like, well, this is how I get murdered. And then I made you guys go to Swiss Chalet because it's like the most Canadian, like sit down fast food restaurant.
Yes.
And we didn't get to go last time. And I was like, well, we have to hit all the high points. And last time we got Harvey's. So this time we had to hit Swiss Chalet. And like, admittedly, after COVID, I can't so much taste food, but I remember fondly what food used to taste like. And so I was a little bit bummed out by our like Swiss Chalet experience. What does Swiss Chalet taste like when you can taste? Was it okay?
It was good. It was rotisserie chicken, which again, the first day really set the tone for the whole rest of the of the trip. So we started out with chicken, and then it turns out we ate like 7 chickens in 1 week. I don't know.
We
how it
only
was
ate chicken.
possible.
I don't understand. and not like pieces of chicken or like chicken in dishes.
No,
we all
like
ate like whole chickens. We were like raccoons.
I threw away, I shit you not, like a chicken and a half when we got home.
We did. Yeah.
Because they were all left over. And I was like, I don't remember where these were from. And I couldn't date them because we ate rotisserie chicken every single day.
Well, medieval times gave us 5 chicken halves. And I think we left there with 1.5
whole chicken halves.
Intact
Yeah,
chicken
yeah.
halves. Yeah.
Yes. So we had, it was good. The weird thing about the Swiss chalet sauce or gravy was it smelled like apple cinnamon, but it tasted like gravy. So there was like I don't know how they managed it, but that's how I would describe it.
That's so
That's
weird.
the secret sauce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the secrets. Yeah, that's my favorite. When I was a kid, I could drink that stuff. It's hard to explain because like you use it like a gravy. It's like a dipping sauce, but it's like watery. It's meant to be watery. So like
It's more liquidy than.
if you're a freak like me and you want to drink it, like you can, and you'll only get a little bit sick instead of the very sick you would get if you drank straight like turkey gravy. But
It's worth the pain.
It's worth the pain. It's so when I could taste flavors, it was really good. But I forgot that like you generally don't go in. It's like McDonald's. You don't go in and sit down at McDonald's and go like, oh, the ambiance. Like you order McDonald's and you eat it like in your car or at home. And like that's how I always get Swiss chalet. Like you get Swiss chalet and you take it home and then you have like a chicken and French fry dinner with a little roll and like your sauce for yourself. So we went in and sat down and I was like, oh, we're the only people in this whole restaurant. It was like just us.
I would say the interior was nicer than McDonald's.
Yeah, it was definitely, they were attempting to be a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah, they're like fast casual. Is that what they call it? Or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, fast casual plus.
It was good. I enjoyed
I love
it.
Swiss chalet. My tongue doesn't work anymore after the COVID. So like I can only enjoy it so much.
The kids liked it.
Penny liked it.
Penny liked it. Amos, I forget what he ate. Maybe chicken nuggets. I don't know. There's no knowing what he ate the whole time we were on the trip. He ate something. He didn't die. That's what I know. And then we had to go
Good
back
parenting.
and change. And then you and I went to Cymbeline.
Which was so weird. It
Where-
was so weird.
It was I don't know if it was odd. Yes. Yeah. It was the weirdest play that we saw. It was definitely a director who had watched The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and was like,
Inspired.
I think I could make that Shakespeare.
Well, to be fair to that, okay, so I had never read Cymbeline. I think it's one of Shakespeare's lesser produced plays, and now I get why.
Yeah.
Because it's very like the text itself, like regardless of what any director or actor tries to do with it, like it's very weird.
It's convoluted.
It's convoluted. There's like a lot of weird things happening, but essentially there's some Celts and then there's some Romans and they're fighting with each other, and like I don't remember more than that, but like so I can see where the director was like, oh, Celts, let's like to differentiate them in their dress, let's kind of aim for sort of a Lord of the Rings style.
Yeah.
But they went like I feel like you could do Celts as like Picts, do you know what I mean? Like guys with blue faces and like kilts and stuff, and I feel like that would have read as Celtic also, but instead because they went so far to Lord of the Rings, it felt like, I mean, there's like everyone has like long flowing like white blonde hair and like the long like the robes that flow past the elf hair. Yeah, like the elf hair and the elf
fucking
robes.
elf hair. It was a lot.
I kept expecting little pointy elf ears.
It would not have been out of place. It would not
because there was a lot of there was magic that I don't know. Like I kind of want to read the play now because like I don't know how much magic is in the text, but like they were like the way that the play was set up was like the Celtic. The religion of the Celts seemed like it was meant to be like real.
Yeah.
So there was a big tree or like a tree, not stump. What do you call it? The trunk. There's a big tree trunk on stage
with
that
LEDs
lit up,
in it. Yeah.
That when people touched it, like there was. I mean, it was a very cool effect. It was beautiful looking. It's this giant, super tall tree trunk, and it had all these. Like sort of curly cues that would light up. So when you would touch it, like those all lit up with like a green light. And there was fog in literally every single play we saw this year. I don't know if they got a discount on the fog machine.
So much fog.
Even like so in a second, I'll talk about, there's a play that I saw that's essentially about bringing the play Death of a Salesman to China in the 1980s. That had a fog machine. Like everything, like every play had a fog machine.
This one used it the most. Cymbeline definitely used it the most.
At one point I was sitting we were sitting together and we're not like, we didn't have the very, very best seats. We weren't super close, but we were like pretty close to the stage. And we were getting so much fog and it smelled just like the nebulizer I used to have when I was a kid and I had asthma, that I was sitting there and I was like, are we going to get like high off of this? Like what? There's something in this fog. Like I can smell something medicinal. What is happening?
Yeah. Probably the most brilliant moment in that play was at the very beginning when they were doing the introduction of the characters. they brought everyone in the play on stage.
Yeah, I liked that.
And they were all standing there, and then they would spotlight them so that when they came back on, you knew who they were already talking about.
Yeah, they had these two Celtic soothsayers, I think, or like psychic people.
Yeah.
And they were basically like, they were walking through like a statue garden of all the other actors frozen as their characters. And they were like, here's all the backstory. Like, this guy, Spotlight, is dating this woman, Spotlight, and they're fighting this guy, Spotlight. And so it was like they were walking through this like mystical statue garden that explained all that you needed to know. And I was like, that's a cool way of doing that. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other standout moment was when the guy walked down the stairs and he was supposed to be like a god. So they like
Jupiter,
lit him and he was all gold and it was cool. And then these wings come running out of the side doors, literally because they are wing props held by two people. And it probably would have been so cool if we were sitting literally anywhere else, but we're like directly behind them. So we're just watching the people expand the wings and you can just hear the ee.
Like the Japanese theater where they have people in black costumes
kind of
that are
like
supposed to be invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, points for creativity. Look, I like any play where someone enters from the audience. Like, I always find that really fun and like really immersive. I like it even better if they don't look at me or talk to me or touch me, because like I want it to be immersive but like not interactive, if that makes sense. But like, okay, here's my problem with that moment. So the guy who comes in is supposed to be Jupiter, and I'm like, okay, so he's a god of the Romans, but they're like, no, he's a god of the Celts, and I'm like, no, those are different. Like, that's not your fault. That's Shakespeare's fault. I'm mad at Shakespeare. But like, I'm like, okay, so I'm like a little annoyed at that. And then weirdly, the way that they dressed him felt
very Mayan.
It was very Mayan.
Like
it was not like Roman. It was not Celtic. It definitely felt like Central and Southern America. And he looked like Quetzalcoatl. And I was like, this is a weird, like, you just made like a weird third choice. And he looked very cool. His whole outfit was all in gold. And like, I agree with you about the wings. I thought the wings coming in like separately with people was a much cooler effect than if he had like a little harness and had to like flap his little wings. But like where we were sitting, you're just watching like a guy out of breath, like try and like flap a wing. And then when Jupiter goes on the stage, wing flap guy 1 and 2 had to run behind him. And I was like, it just makes me feel kind of sad.
Now I wish I'd seen this.
I'm not 100% sure that we didn't just walk in and sit down and just get drugged. And then like we both had a shared delusion together and woke up 3 hours later.
Like the best actor in it was the guy, I can't remember what he was playing, but he was hysterical. And at one point he gets chased off the stage by this guy and it's a real funny moment leading up to it. And then it's kind of a funny moment when they run off. And then the guy comes running back in with his severed head. And he's like, I got him. And they're all like, oh no, God damn it. We didn't want him to die. And you're like, what just happened?
There's nothing to prepare you for that crazy tone change. Because his character is like, is funny, but sort of an asshole, if I remember.
Yeah. Well, because it's funny, but that scene right before he gets his head cut off is where he's like, okay, but I'm going to rape her. And then we're going to get together because she's going to realize how good I am. And that's how, because he's supposed to be betrothed to this woman who runs away and pretends to be a man. It's convoluted and it's Shakespeare.
Wait, the woman who pretends to be a man, I thought that was in Twelfth Night.
No, but there's also in this one.
Did I totally just black out on like another gender change? Is this the one where the guy was hiding he's hiding in the chest at her bed, right? Or is that 12th Night?
That was
this one, wasn't it?
Cymbeline, yep.
Yeah.
And then she gets shamed because she thinks, she gets shamed. She ends up running away because she meets her brothers who she doesn't know are her brothers.
Yeah, those two feral guys in the woods.
And they think that she's their...
That's right. This was another gender change play.
Yeah, guy buddy. But then they think she's dead because she drinks a potion that she thinks is going to be like an energy drink. And it ends up being like Rohypnol. And so she passes out and they're like, oh no, she died. And so they lay her next to the decapitated body of the guy who ran off stage earlier, who is wearing the clothes of the guy that she's married to. Because he was hoping that would make him more attractive. So when she wakes up, she thinks her husband has been decapitated and is laying next to her. No, actually, husband.
Oh, they're actually married?
Yeah.
That
I
is
like that you're telling me the plot of this play that I watched and like remember none of except for like the tone was like, okay, so like the tone is so it sort of reminds me of Titus Andronicus, where it's like super high drama and then super funny, super high drama. But in Titus Andronicus, you're like laughing the whole time. And even though there's like threats of rape and they cut out a lady's tongue and they chop off people's hands and it's like really violent, it's like violent, but it's funny. So like you're having a good time, even though if I describe the things that happen in that play to you without context, you'd be like, well, that's fucking horrifying. What kind of a monster are you that you enjoyed that? In Cymbeline, though, like the tone change doesn't work so well.
Yeah. Well, no.
Maiming can be entertaining.
Right. And in there it was. But in this, it was just like there's a scene where the guy has bet her husband that he can seduce her. And so he gets himself snuck into her room in a chest. And when she goes to sleep, he climbs out of the chest. And he's going to like learn enough about her and her room to be able to describe it to the husband.
Do you remember why he doesn't actually rape her though? Because he got really close.
And it's so uncomfortable. Like that scene was like, I had a hard time watching it on the stage.
Yeah, because he jumps. So she's lying on a little platform that's meant to be her bed. I remember this scene. He hops out of this big chest at the foot of her bed. He hops onto the platform that she's lying down on. So he's like straddling her, kind of standing over her, like leaning over her, sort of like in frog pose. And he doesn't end up raping her. But that scene goes on so long and he gets so close that you and I were both sitting there like, are we going to watch a simulated rape? Because there's not like a curtain that they could go behind. You know what I mean? Like there's no way that the rape happens and you don't see something fucking awful. So I don't remember why he doesn't end up actually raping her. And he just ends up like you said, learning about the room and then crawling back into the chest.
And he steals her neck. He steals her bracelet, I think.
Yes, because he uses that as proof that like she gave it to me because I was such a good lay or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was that. But that's my point. Is like I feel like
I remember something about a birthmark too.
Yeah, she has a birthmark on her breast.
on her shoulder. Yes,
on her breast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, where you wouldn't see it otherwise. But that's my point. Is like I feel like you can have something with a lot of quick tone changes that is funny and fun to watch, like Titus Andronicus. This had a lot of tone changes where the whole time I felt like whiplash. I was like, there's like you're laughing out of shock most of the time because like you said, there's nothing to anticipate that when that one guy runs off stage, he will never come back again except in the form of a head and then separately his corpse.
Yeah,
like you're like shocked by his head, and then later one of the two brothers who lives in the woods drags in this headless corpse, and you're just like, the fuck am I? What is happening right now? What is going on? Like it was so wild. I mean, Lucy Peacock was in it, and she plays Cymbeline, who is the queen. And I was like, okay, she's Lucy Peacock. She's like a big deal at Stratford, and she's the title of the play. Like she'll have a lot of lines, and I didn't think she had that much to do in this
in and
play.
out. Yeah, she's not in it very much.
Oh, and the guy we sat across from at the London Assurance cast dinner.
Yeah,
loves Lucy Peacock.
I know. He was going to see the goat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's very good. I like her. I think she's in that production of Merry Wives of Windsor that we saw, like on the video. I think she's in that, but she's like Ger. Do you know what I mean? Like she's in everything all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. And she would like pop in. She's like 5 feet tall. She's still little. She's like pocket size. She'd pop in. And she'd have like a pronouncement about something, and then she'd wander off and like have like a 3-act smoke break, and then come back in and like have another pronouncement about something, and then wander off again. I was like, no, more Lucy Peacock, less of whatever the fuck else is happening with like the guy with the wings and the fog and and I feel bad. Okay, so Stratford has an Instagram page, and they're always talking about like here are the shows that are coming, and they do like little behind the scenes like clips, and they tell you about everything to get you hyped up. And they had been hyping up Cymbeline as a great triumph of costuming. Like that, for whatever reason, was what they kept focusing on. So I was like, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. And like the costuming tried very hard. And like you said, for the Celt characters, it sort of felt like the fabric choices, like they had maybe run out of money, and like the fabric choices were a little more plasticky than I think they were going for, which bummed me out. But they had kept showing like the design sketches for Cymbeline's daughter, whose name I don't recall, but she's like the main character, really. Her dress is supposed to have this beautiful like tree embroidered on it, and it's supposed to be an echo, I think, of that big tree that we talked about earlier, the one that lights up whenever the Celts touch it. And I was like, oh, like this sounds really cool and really interesting. And like you can't see any of the embroidery we weren't that many rows from the stage. We weren't that far, but you can't see any of this like amazing detailed
Because
embroidery.
her whole dress is glittery. Like the rest of her dress is bedazzled,
and
then
there's like a pattern
stuff
to the
on it.
fabric. So
Yeah.
like trying to embroider a tree on floral pattern fabric, like how could you possibly see any of that? But you can see that everyone else is wearing plastic and Lord of the Rings elf hair. And I was like, oh no, oh guys, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the fault of it. Like all the acting was well done. Like I thought everyone did a good job. I'm very happy to be able to have seen a Lucy Peacock performance because she's awesome. She's amazing. I'm gonna read Cymbeline at some point to try and figure out what the fuck happened for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But like it was a weird experience. But I don't think that wasn't the first play that because I saw Salesman in China.
Oh yeah, you saw
before
Salesman
that.
in China, and then I think we went out. No.
Yeah, it must have been because that's where they gave me my little card.
Oh
my little
yeah.
like thanks for showing up card.
Well, I know my first play was Cymbeline. Oh yeah, because then I came and picked you up. I came and picked you up to go to Cymbeline.
Yes.
Because then we couldn't find a place to park, and we ended up having to hustle.
Yes, that was the fucking theme of this trip.
So we must have had Swiss Chalet on the 15th.
Yeah, we had Swiss Chalet the first day, and then so that must be what it was. We had Swiss Chalet, and then I went to see Salesman in China.
Yeah,
it must have been.
You did Salesman in China as a 2 p.m. because then 8 p.m. was Cymbeline. And then the next day we did.
Wait, Salesman in China was so good. Can I talk about it for like 2 seconds?
Yes,
it was so good.
I'm timing you. 5 minutes, go.
Good. Okay. So, all right. So it's a brand new play. It just opened in Stratford. It's never been anywhere in the world. It's called Salesman in China. And it's about Arthur Miller. I've never read Death of a Salesman, so I don't know. But it's about Arthur Miller bringing Death of a Salesman to China with this famous Chinese actor whose name was Ying Ro Chang. I know I'm saying that wrong. I'm doing the best I can, you guys. This play was so amazing. It was so good. So it's half in English, it's half in Mandarin. And you're like, how did they manage that? I'm going to tell you. What they did was they added a second floor to the stage. They raised the whole stage up 4 feet in the air, and then extra 4 feet.
An impressive technical feat.
It was an impressive technical feat. And I got to, I had a little bit of time. I don't remember where you guys were or what was going on, but I ended up getting to do a backstage tour of the Avon Theater. I was able to like sneak into one of the tour groups and like get a ticket for that. And so I was able to see actually this extra floor because they had all the sets and things in the back because they do multiple plays in the theaters. So like they had changed out Salesman in China and they were doing La Cage aux Folles that day. So they had moved the other set to the back. So I got to see this extra floor, this like 4 foot tall floor that they used, where the front of it is a projection screen that they had all the subtitles on. And so what they would do is like when any of the actors were speaking in English, directly below them on this 4 foot floor, the subtitles were in Mandarin. And then when they spoke in Mandarin, vice versa, it's in English on the floor. And they move the subtitles around. So you're not like trying to look over to the left when they're talking on the right. Like the subtitles were always directly below all of the actors speaking. And then they had surtitles at the very top of the stage that would tell you like when they changed the scene. So like it's a different date and a different location that would pop up at the top in English and in Mandarin. It was very cool. Like technically, I really enjoyed it. And it's about like these two cultures meeting. Because I guess Death of a Salesman is a very like steeped in American culture play. And they brought it to China. And so they're trying to Ying Ro Chang did the translation and he played the main character in it. And he was like working with the government to like basically get the permits and the permissions to allow them to bring that play to China. And the Chinese government was like, we'll let you do this if you spy on Arthur Miller. So there's like all of these different layers going on. And this actor, Ying Ro Chang, they delved into his childhood a little bit because his father was an academic. And then during I don't know enough about Chinese history. I'm doing the best I can. But like during the period of time when this actor was a child, his father basically had to go into exile in Taiwan. And the father tries to take him with him. And the kid's like, no, I'm loyal to China. I'm going to stay here in China. And then later he gets into his own problems with the government. And the government puts him in jail for several years. And then after all of that is done, some of the guys who were his jailers end up being actors in this play with him. When they're putting on Death of a Salesman, like 20 years later. So there's like, it's such an interesting real life story about this actor trying to bring this play over to China and butting heads with Arthur Miller, and Arthur Miller not understanding like Chinese cultural, theatrical, I don't know, like traditions, I guess. And then Ying Ro Chang, like, and the cast members trying to understand like the American idiom that is being expressed through that play. It was so good. And did it have smoke effect? Yes, it did. Of course it did. Because Ying Ro
Every
Chang,
play did.
Ying Ro Chang like sees his father's ghost, and so every time, because he's haunted by his father, and his father's like the idea that like he might turn into his father, or that he might not be like as good as his father, like just all these different like competing emotions that he has about his childhood. So anytime the father character comes up, bam, smoke. And do they have shit coming out of the audience? You're goddamn right they do, because the play starts with these 2 or 3 guys on bicycles, because it like you're starting like you're in Beijing, and so to like make you feel like you're in Beijing, there's just kids and bicycles like coming down the aisleways and like going up onto the stage. It was so good. I'm going to tell you the one thing that was less good though. The fucking audience sucked so goddamn hard. I was so frustrated. So like I realized the whole point of this play is like cultures meeting each other and like mashing together. It didn't work out so well for the audience, because even though there were subtitles and surtitles and like there was a lot, like it was explained like what was going on. Like it was, I don't know anything about China in the 1980s or about Arthur Miller, and like I was able to follow like the basic, here's what's happening in the play. The audience was having a hard time. There was this one tour group that came in. I know they were a tour group because they had flags. They had fucking flags, and they all came in together. And the ushers had little buttons that said like which ushers spoke Mandarin, but the ones who spoke Mandarin were only in the lobby, and like the ones who were inside like the actual seating area of the theater, nobody had those buttons, and they just were like guessing at one point where to put people, like where their seats were. And then the tour group that was in the audience, they were all like, you know, when you can tell that people are like explaining the thing, they're doing the old lady thing. They're doing the old lady, let me tell you what just happened on stage. And then the old lady next to her goes, what happened on stage? And then 6 other old ladies are like, let me tell you what I just saw happen on stage. And I was like, you're all so fucking like, shut the fuck up, shut up, shut the hell up. I can't hear. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to pay attention. Like, shut up. Like, it's the international language of grandmas everywhere. And I was just like, I'm not racist. I don't like old people. So just stop it. So, and then
I'm ageist, not racist.
I'm ageist, not racist.
Right.
It's different. It's different. So
You should have told the stewards that you were hard of hearing and needed the microphone package.
I am hard of hearing is the problem.
I saw people at other shows where they had this little thing,
the little
connected
headsets,
to headphones. Yes.
Because that's the problem, is like, I'm just deaf enough where like I need to really focus. And if you're having like a full on screaming Mandarin conversation next to my head, it's very hard to listen. So then, but my favorite fucking thing was like 7 minutes before the play is supposed to start. This couple comes down, and the ushers who were working like in the lobby part, they had given up. It was a free for all. They were just like, we're going to sit you wherever. Like, we just need to get this to happen. So this couple comes in, and for context, I am sitting at the furthest seat on the right hand of my row. I'm the end of it. It's me and the wall. There's no other seats there. So this couple comes in, and they were thinking that they were going to be sitting like in my row, and there's seats next to me, but there's only one seat next to me, and they're a couple, so they're 2 people. So they're trying to walk down, and it's like, it's not dark yet. They haven't lowered the house lights. You can see there's me and the fucking wall. They keep trying to walk, and I'm like, where are you going? What's happening? So the man sits down like next to me. The woman keeps trying to walk, and I'm like, there's no other seats. Ma'am, that's a wall. There's nothing there. So then she panics. It's not dark yet. There's no reason to panic. You're going to be okay. She panics, this middle-aged lady, and she looks around, and she tries, there's an empty seat directly in front of me, and she tries to swing her leg over, and like, ma'am, you're like 65. You're wearing nice dress pants. You're not swinging your leg over. I know that, and you know that. Like, don't try. So she tries. She can't. More panic. Oh no. So then what she does is she just slowly starts to crouch in front of my knees. She's just like, nope, I'm crouching here. This is my seat now. I'm just gonna slowly bend. I'm like, you're gonna crouch for 3 hours between me, my purse, and the seat in front of me?
You don't know what she's capable of, Meg.
The usher is standing there. It's still very bright. The usher is watching this woman slowly bend her knees,
Aw.
sink to the ground, and he's like, ma'am, you can't just crouch there for 3 hours. You have to sit somewhere else. We'll find a seat for you. It's okay. It's not that full. We'll find a spot for you. And so she's like done panicking. They like took her out. The husband came out and they went like the row in front of me and they were fine. But it was just like this weird pantomime where I was like trying to talk to her and she was not listening. She's like, no, I'm going to sit in your lap. But like, and normally at this point I would be stressing out because I'd be like, oh, I've assumed that I'm the problem here. Like I've sat in the wrong seat and I fucked up this whole row and it's my fault. But I know I was sitting in the right seat because Stratford does a really cute, nice thing where when it's your first play of the season, and you're a member, they give you this little card and a little chocolate from Rio Thompson Chocolates, which you and I mainlined at every show we saw. None of my pants fit anymore, but they were so good.
Every single show, during the intermission, Rachel went to the concession stand and brought back the mint chocolate,
which
Rio chocolate bar.
I discovered because after you left, we went and saw Something Rotten one more time with the kids. And so I grabbed 4 of them out of the container at the gift shop and bought them and then gave them to the kids when we came in. And there is a dark chocolate version, which I had not encountered until that moment. Luckily, I got 1 milk chocolate and 3 dark chocolate because Amos was like, you have betrayed me. You have betrayed my ancestors. You have betrayed... He was like, Mama, you know I don't like dark chocolate. I was like, I didn't even know. I thought it was an older packaging or something.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a difference.
Yeah, so we ate the dark chocolate, which was still really good. But yeah, no, I think I ate like 8 of those.
Well, and okay, so they're not, so like the size of the individual chocolate that they were selling at the theater it should have been scored into 4. But it wasn't. It was just
the
one
size of a
brick.
Klondike bar.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was huge. It was so good. And it tasted just like, so in Canada, the Girl Guides, the Girl Scouts, we sell different things than what they sell in America. So in the fall and winter, we sell these things called mint meltaways. And I know that they exist in America.
Yet another reason Canada is superior.
Thank you. Correct. But these tasted just like the things like the mint meltaways from when I was a kid. So I was like half eating from like hunger and sugar and to keep me awake and half eating out of like nostalgia. So like weeping while I house this giant chocolate. It was so good, you guys. And I found out that Rio Thompson will sell their chocolate to the States because I immediately Googled the shit out of that when I came back home.
Nice. So the next day, after the Cymbeline drug trip, we went to see Peter Pan, which was really good. We took the kids to go see Peter Pan. And they had hired a lady to rewrite the play because it's 100 years old. And there are definitely some themes that have not aged super well. And I thought that everything that they changed in it was fabulous. Like there's a scene where Hook is talking to Wendy. And I thought this was cool. They didn't refer to anyone in the play with gendered pronouns. So everyone was they, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I like that.
Even Hook. So Hook, who was played by a woman, Tinkerbell was played by, I think they were he, she, and them. Anyway, it was all really
Hector, cool. I've seen that actor in some things on Instagram.
They were
I think
fabulous.
Non-binary.
Yeah, they were an excellent Tinkerbell. And there's a scene where Hook is talking to Wendy, and they say, how come Lost Boys never have to grow up, but you have to be a mother as soon as you get here?
Right. And I liked how
the whole audience was like, woo!
Was like the angel on Peter Pan's shoulder, and Tinkerbell was kind of the devil on Peter
Wendy
Pan's
was
shoulder.
Off doing her own thing. Peter Pan was off doing their own thing.
The idea of Wendy, I guess the Wendy in Peter Pan's head was his like conscience, and Tinkerbell was Peter Pan's like temptation to be very self-centered.
Yeah, and their costume was fabulous. You want to talk about good costumes?
Oh, and Peter all the wire work?
Oh, yeah, and they had all kinds of rope and wire work for all the flying. And then the sets, even my son was even like, oh my God, like he loved the sets. I said, would you want to be an actor? He was like, no. I said, do you want to do set building? He goes, yeah. He thought they were so cool. And they were really cool. That one was, I really, really enjoyed that play. Ditto. I thought they did a really good job. Yeah. And Hot Dracula was in it.
I was gonna say you're neglecting to mention the most important part.
This was our first exposure to hot Dracula
as the pirate who wasn't a very good pirate and ends up joining the Lost Boys in the end anyway. And there was a slow motion scene. There is a fight scene where partway through the fight scene, they all start moving in slow motion, and it was
top notch,
unbelievable. It was so good. I was blown away. It was so good.
I'm really glad. So they have been advertising that play as like the children's play, because I think they always do one children's play per season. And so when I heard that, I was like, does that mean that they're like not going to try as hard, or it's not going to be as good, or all the adults are going to be bored? So I'm pleasantly surprised. Like, I'm glad that you guys had such a good time.
Yeah.
I experienced the other end of the emotional spectrum because when you guys saw Peter Pan, I chose to see Hedda Gabler. So I didn't know anything about Hedda Gabler except sort of what I'd heard in passing, that it was like a proto-feminist play. I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. Mm-hmm. It's not okay. It's not okay. Let me.
How'd that go for you, Meg?
What? Yeah, it was. Okay, so I don't even know where to start. So the acting was wonderful. The acting was very, very good. The actor Tom McCamus, who played Arthur Miller in in Salesman in China, he was in this as the judge. Gordon S. Miller, who we horrified last year, he was in both. I still feel weird about that. He was in both Salesman in China as like a really small role. He plays like the American ambassador, or maybe someone who like works for the American embassy. Like, he walks on stage, he says 2 lines, he has an American flag pin, he walks off. And he plays the husband of Hedda Gabler in this. All the acting was great. It was super, super great. I have nothing bad to say. It's one of those plays. So it's, sometimes you see something in translation and like it like hits your ear a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like the cadence, you're like, I can tell this is in translation because it doesn't quite sound natural. It's like a little bit off. That's sort of how Hedda Gabler, at least the translation that we had felt for me. But it was about 100 times darker than I thought it was going to be. And spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know how Hedda Gabler ends, she blows her fucking brains out. Yep. Wikipedia says that traditionally she leaves the stage and goes to a separate room. But the way that this stage was set up was it sort of felt like either a 1-room apartment or like it's like a 2-room apartment, but you just don't see like that middle wall.
It was the Tom Patterson, right?
Yes, that sort of very
so there's
small,
no
intimate.
Other room. It's just the thrust stage. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But so I don't know if they the way that they would play the scenes is sometimes it sort of felt like, oh, this portion of the stage is a different room and this portion is or it could just have been like, it's a sort of a longer room and I'm over here by the fireplace and you guys are down at that end of the room. So I can't really hear you. It wasn't super clear to me. But she doesn't go, she goes to the fireplace and she picks up a gun and she blows her fucking brains out and then the lights turn off and I sort of had a headache before the play started and then she blew her brains out. Again, smoke effects, because every play had to have smoke effects.
They must have signed a contract with a new smoke machine company.
Yeah. They were like, we're going to test out how good you are by using it in every single play. It was a lot darker. There's she's kind of a selfish and terrible character. And sometimes she's selfish and terrible the way House, do you remember the Dr. Drama House? Sometimes she's selfish and terrible in a way where you're like, oh, I get why you're being awful. You're awful, but I understand why you're being awful. And sometimes I was just like, is she the devil? Why is she sometimes she's just awful. She's just sort of, sometimes she's messing with people because she feels like she has no power in her life. But then sometimes she just seems like, what if I kicked an old woman down some stairs? Which doesn't happen in the play, but if it did, you would be like, this feels correct for Hedda Gabler. So I don't know. It was sort of a weird experience. And then there's a character who is, I think, meant to be sort of a wide-eyed, sort of simple or very, very pure and sweet and honest character. And it's sort of hard to play a character like that and make it feel like a real person and not sort of like a caricature. I don't think you're a bad actress who played this, the junior character, but the fact that we're dealing with a text in translation and she's supposed to be basically like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, it was sort of weird to watch you play that and not have it feel sort of fake.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's anything on the actress. I think it's just sort of like, it's a little bit like Cymbeline, like the perfect storm of like not great things kind of coming together. But it was compelling to watch. Like, I'm not mad that I saw it. I kind of wish I had taken like some of my headache pills before I had gone in. But it was a really weird experience that sort of like, it's sitting with me and I kind of want to read Hedda Gabler. And what was funny was like, obviously like every theater had their own little gift shop and they have like t-shirts from Hedda Gabler. But the quote that they've used on the t-shirt, I was like, I don't remember her saying that at any point during this fucking 2.5 hour play. Like this line of dialogue, like when did that happen? Because it sounds like a lot more, it's like, love is war and I'm a warrior. And I was like, the whole play, she's basically like flicking matches at people. So like her being like, I'm a warrior of love. I was like, is that a thing? I don't, but the smoke effects. Okay. So it wasn't just the gun. So there's like some guns and she shoots herself at the end and there's like the little like poof, from the gun. But they had I thought this was really cool. They had set up a fireplace because at one point she will take this guy has written, her ex-lover has written a book that's supposed to be like this really brilliant, like amazing treatise on, I think it's like on literary theory or something. It's like supposed to be amazing. It's like the best thing he's ever written and the best thing her husband has ever read. And it's just supposed to be like mind blowing. She finds it. Like the guy had dropped it while drunk and her husband brings it home and she finds it and she looks at it and she's just like spiteful just to be spiteful for no fucking reason. So she goes to her little fireplace. She opens the doors and there's like obviously like the light that they have coming out from inside this box to make it look like the fireplace. She throws the papers in like one at a time and they do such a good job with the special effects of like, you hear the paper crackling, you hear the fire making little fire sounds, like you hear the paper being destroyed and then smoke comes out. And this is like right before the act one break. So all these like huge plumes of smoke come roaring out of this fireplace and the lights go off, but the fireplace is still lit. And you can still hear the crackling.
Oh.
It was a very cool.
That's an interesting effect.
It was very cool and atmospheric. Yeah. It was all well done. The acting was well done, but like I'm disturbed and horrified, and I'm going to be thinking about Hedda Gabler for a while now because it's
for the rest of my life.
For the rest of my life, it's just weird to have that character where it's sort of like I'm used to either being like a cartoonish villain where like their motivations make no sense because they're just like Snidely Whiplash, or like a villain where you understand the terrible things that they've done. You don't agree with the terrible things, but you like get what's happening in their brain that led them to think I should do this terrible thing. She is somehow in the middle. Like she is like 50%, I get why you've done these awful things, but you suck. And 50% like, what if I chucked a baby in front of a train? Just like, why Hedda Gabler? Why are you the way that you are? What is going on here? And I didn't realize that Hedda Gabler was a Henrik Ibsen play. And I was like, I remember reading A Doll's House in school. And I didn't realize that they were the same author. And I'm like, but in A Doll's House, like you get, from what I remember, I was like, you get why like people are acting the way that they do and why they feel like constrained by society in the way that they do. What the fuck? Like, what were you doing when Hedda Gabler came out of you? Like, this is monstrous.
Lots of drugs.
Drugs and trauma.
I know it will distract you, though. If you don't want to think about Hedda Gabler anymore, we forgot to talk about our Indian dinner before Cymbeline.
I'm sorry.
Meg nearly collapsed.
I know. Please leave that entire laugh interlude in.
Absolutely. We need it.
I keep getting the timeline all confused. I keep thinking that that happened later, but I know that was like the day that it rained.
Sit-down dinner that we managed was the Indian restaurant.
You kind of managed
literally, they brought First of all, I ordered a gin and tonic, and for the first time in my life, they brought me a can of tonic and a shot of gin.
Yeah, mix it yourself, bitch.
Did they bring you a separate cup to mix it in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
so there's that.
Oh, no, they weren't just like drink and then shoot.
Mix it in your mouth.
I mean, I would not have been shocked because then they also took our order. They brought my curry, but nothing else. No naan, no rice. And then they brought the naan, and they're like, okay, do you need anything else? Like, yeah, like Meg's dinner, our rice. whatever. And then like 45 minutes later, they brought out Meg's dinner and he goes, oh, I forgot.
Well, you're forgetting the very best part, which is I think the restaurant's family run. They kept sending out siblings. They just kept sending out siblings to the table, some of whom did not speak English.
Yes. Yes, some of whom did not speak English. And so Meg would be like, can I have more tea or can I have my dinner? And they'd be like, yes. And then just leave and never come back.
A very confident yes. and then a wandering off that never came back.
Yeah.
I can sympathize with just
okay, and then leave. Yeah,
just
it was
like from a perspective of I have no idea what's going on.
I feel like it would have
then you shouldn't be sent out in a waitress capacity. Like that.
Yeah. In the end, we only got one thing of rice too. Like we didn't ever get our whole, it took almost an hour and 45 minutes. We ended up being almost late for Cymbeline, despite having like 3 hours. Because it took so long to get all of our
They kept
food.
coming out. They sent out a different family member and she'd be like, how is it going? And I was like, well, it's not because I don't have dinner. And she'd be like, oh, okay. They're working on it. And I'd be like, all right. And then another sibling would come out. How's it going? Still no dinner, ma'am. I don't know what to, I mean, I'm enjoying the atmosphere, I guess. And she's like, all right, we're working on it. I was like, okay. And then the brother came out and he's like, here you go. I forgot. And I was like, the fuck? what? The best thing was, it wasn't like I forgot to put the order in. They just finished cooking it, which is kind of what I thought. No, he meant that they cooked it. They stuck it on the counter. It wasn't even under a heat lamp. It was like almost ice cold. And I was like, I'm hungry. I don't care. I was like, and then ran out the door.
It was so.
It was such a weird experience. But it was. We had stopped at a record shop on the way there because I was like, there's this one record that we owned, and then like during the move, like it's gotten lost, and I've been looking for it. It's there's this band from the 70s in Canada called Edward Bear. And I really liked it. It had like one album and then they disbanded. And it was this really great, like cool, like 70s rock. And you can find some of their songs on iTunes, but not this particular album. And I was like, I want the songs on this album. Like I miss it. Like it was ours. Like I want to find it. So we went in and the guy's like, yeah, I don't think we have it, but like, let me go look in the back. So he looks in the back and he finds it and he brings it to the cash. And then I was like, it's raining. Let me get a little shopping bag because that'll keep it protected. So he brings up the shopping bag and then he doesn't ring up the record. And I was like, based on the dollar amount I'm looking at, like, was this record $1? Was it like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I forgot to bring it up. And I was like, okay, well, I haven't given you my card yet. Just add it into the thing or like do 2 transactions or whatever. He's like, nah. And I was like, what do you mean? Like you're at the record store. You can't give me the record for free. That's not how commerce works. He's like,
he was flirting with you.
He was not. And I was like, no, he wasn't.
He might have been. Because you were like ringing up and he was like, no, I don't want to ring it up. It's like when the guy told me, I don't want sugar in my coffee. Just stick your finger in it and then it'll be sweet enough. And I was like,
the fuck?
I was
when Rachel was working at the coffee shop.
Yeah, I said, do you want cream and sugar? He goes, cream, but just stir it with your finger and then it'll be sweet enough. I said, do you want me to stick my finger in your coffee? And he goes, no. And I said, that wouldn't make it sweet. It's just my finger. I was like, well, it is clean, but it's hot coffee. And he was like, just stir it. It's fine.
Okay. I am more socially aware than that.
But he may not have been.
I don't think... Well, now I don't know. I don't think this man was flirting.
You know what? There's only one way to find out.
That owns a penis. I can say us people can be very oblivious when flirting.
Okay. Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's next year we go get another record.
Pass it across the counter. Go, are you going to charge me? Like it's some kind of a slow scam over this. He seemed more like, I don't want to hit any more buttons. I hit all the buttons I want to hit today.
Yeah.
Just take the record.
We try to play it off like, oh, it's no big deal.
Well, fuck. The next time I'm going to bring you with me, and then if that happens, I'll poke you and be like, is this flirting?
Matt will just hold up a sign. He's flirting with you, Meg.
I will go with you to the record shop next time.
That's all I'm asking for.
I will inform both parties that, one is flirting with the other and the other is completely oblivious to the flirting.
I need a little help.
Let's rectify this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was very nice of him, like whatever the situation was. And I was it's a rare, hard record to find. So I was very pleased. To get it. And then Fun fact, when I got home, I found the original record and I have 2 copies. I don't know where it came from.
Well, at least you didn't spend full price on it.
No, that's true. Although I spent money. I spent $10 on a little tote bag. He like got money out of the transaction. And it's got the name of the business. Like that's why I get tote bags so I can remember how to find them again. But I was very pleased with it. But he was very nice.
Yeah.
Put it on the calendar.
Was he flirting with me? God,
make a note.
Right.
Well, after Peter Pan and Hedda Gabler, we hopped in the car and drove to not Toronto, but a suburb of Toronto.
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 Say it right.
Yes.
There are no T's in Toronto.
Where did we stay? We stayed in like
Malton.
Not Milton.
Yeah.
Or Walton.
Or Halton. Yeah, not Halton or Milton, but Malton, which is a third place I didn't know existed. I told you were wrong. The whole drive there, you're like, it says we're going to Malton. And I was like, that's not a place. And then we saw a big sign that said Malton. And I was like, where the fuck am I?
Right. I know that there's Milton, Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Halton.
Yeah, well, we stayed in Malton.
the third secret place. Which, can I just, okay, so we were the whitest people in that whole neighborhood.
I went out for a beer run. This was
in the middle of Little India.
Yes, we were in the middle of Little India.
There was a place called Wings and Tings.
Which is not you doing an accent. I need to make clear, like the sign says T-I-N-G, like
Wings
or
and Tings. Yeah.
It might have been a Z at the end. Yeah.
It might have been.
And I went to 3 places. One of them, supermarket. Okay, great. A supermarket. It's like 10:45 p.m. They're going to have some beer.
No.
It's a very Indian supermarket. Okay, lots of rice, lots of sauces, lots of everything.
But beer.
Nothing with alcohol in it. I went to a gas station, like convenience store, that from the pictures was like 4 bays of like 3-foot wide shelves of hookahs. They will have some kind of intoxicating substance here.
Negative,
no alcohol.
Captain. Yes.
Then I found the nearest Walmart. It was about 12 miles away, I think.
love this spiritual journey you went on.
Oh, he wanted the beer. The beer was going to happen.
I thought, okay, I can go to Walmart and have a decent beer selection.
You think?
They had an aisle with alcohol. It was 3 coolers, like 3 bays wide, of different beers. Nothing with like flavor. It was all like very mainstream, like Coors, Budweiser, Miller Lite, whatever.
Lame.
And then like 2 bays of like seltzer and some other stuff that like wasn't in the cooler. And then a whole 2 more bays of non-alcoholic beverages.
Huh.
Like they had
just like the worst teas.
I sent a picture to one of my friends, one of my drinking and philosophy buddies.
Obviously.
Important distinction.
It was like Carl Jung Winery, but it was an alcohol-free wine. Okay, sure. I almost got a bottle to bring back to him. Yes,
it had to be alcohol-free. He hadn't incorporated his shadow yet.
Wow.
High five, Rachel.
Woo!
The deep cut that just happened. I'm truly impressed.
So I came back with
alcohol.
A varied assortment of hard seltzer and some light beer.
Except it turned out Meg's can was like the bottle of sherry from A Preacher's Wife.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay, so there's that usually a Christmas movie where Cary Grant shows up as an angel.
Oh, the bottomless bottle of sherry?
Yeah, and so he goes to visit that historian and he like makes his bottle of sherry
blesses his bottle of sherry.
And no matter how much he pours the bottle of sherry, it never gets any more empty.
Yes.
I did the best I could, you guys. I really tried. I have such a low alcohol tolerance.
Meg was like, I'm trying. I can't. They were giant cans. It was fine.
Right. Yeah. This was a large can. I don't know what the ounce size is. Like a 20-ounce can.
Yeah. And we watched Jumanji and we had a good time. And the kids it was a really nice Airbnb. It was like the nicest Airbnb I've ever stayed in. Not necessarily because like the bed really felt like it was probably memory foam on top of plywood, but it was the most solicitous Airbnb host I have ever encountered.
Oh yeah, no, she was great.
Life.
She kept asking us how we're doing. At one point, we couldn't find the plug for the bathtub, and she like drove up with a brand new one she had bought from the store.
5 minutes later, it was like,
well,
here's one.
She said that she had people across the street, like right across the street.
Yeah. Well, it was. And she had like coffee. She had stuff in the fridge. She
decorated the beds with linens. Like I took a picture because it was all.
I have never. Staged. Usually they're like, "You're welcome for staying in my house. I fucking hate you. Leave early." Like that's how Airbnb to me feels every time I go. And yet this time,
thank you for taking out all the trash. I'm still gonna charge you the cleaning fee.
Right. This lady was like, "Don't do anything. It's fine. I love you. Thank you for staying here."
She was great.
Had a little guest book. It was really nice.
It was the most Canadian Airbnb ever.
Although I will say, okay, so it's a split level house. So there's like an upstairs apartment and then there's the downstairs apartment. And I think the family just like lives in the downstairs apartment when Airbnb people are there.
And you could hear them every time they went in or out.
There's 2 teenage girls.
Because they would yell angrily at the bottom of the stairs to the basement.
Well, there was like Fight Club. Was it Friday night or Sunday night?
The 2 teenage girls, I think, murdered each other. I don't know that I didn't see them after I heard the screaming.
It was a lot. Luckily, there was enough distance between the bedroom that the kids were sleeping in and the stairs to the like downstairs apartment.
Yeah, they didn't wake them up.
It didn't wake up the kids.
Yeah.
But it definitely disrupted Jumanji.
And we got to take the GO train. We took the GO train in, and then we took the subway, which the kids loved.
So nice. Okay, so I grew up in Western Massachusetts. I guess like from middle school to the end of high school, I lived in Western Massachusetts. And compared to living in rural Michigan, the biggest thing was public transportation.
Yeah.
Every summer, you could, as a less than 15-year-old, you could get a free pass to the B bus, which was the Berkshire public transportation system. And you just had this thing and it was unlimited passes on the bus. And so we'd go up to the mall and we'd just tool around the whole city area. And then after high school, I moved to North Carolina, which has zero public transportation.
No public transportation.
I guess technically in downtown Raleigh, there is some transportation.
Right. Well, the kids really liked the GO train because we took it.
Being in,
it's just nice having it as an option.
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah, and we went to the
ROM. Was very reminiscent of here's this freedom of I don't need to think about where I'm parked. I don't need to think about how I'm going to get to the next place. I can just pay this flat fee and I have an all-inclusive pass to transportation all around the city. Anywhere I want to go, I just figure out where the nearest station is and what my destination is and ride the transportation until I get there.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
Well, we took the GO train in, then we took the subway, and we ended up at the ROM, which was good. Our first try, we didn't even go the wrong direction once. And the kids had a great time at the ROM until we had to eat lunch.
Our trip into Toronto with the kids, when I was in middle school living in Michigan, we had this very fancy field trip, overnight field trip to Toronto from Eastern Michigan, the thumb of Michigan. We went to 3 places, basically. We went to the CN Tower. We went to the ROM, which most of my memories at the ROM are of the
mummies.
The mummies.
Which they don't have anymore.
Because as responsible Canadians, they were like, oh, these are actual
mummified human remains. I love the rebranding.
Human remains.
Did they send them back?
Of
I think so.
Egyptian people, and they sent all but like 2 of the mummies.
Huh, I didn't know that.
They sent all but 2 of the mummified human remains back to Egypt, because Egypt was like, oh no, you can keep those. We're cool with having an Egyptian, like ancient Egyptian focused exhibit in museums across the globe. Those mummified human remains you can keep with permission, but the rest, please send them back. They're mummified human remains of ancient Egyptians.
We couldn't see any of the mummified remains this time because there was a section of the ROM that was under construction, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, I'm looking forward to whatever they do, but it was sort of a bummer because it was like a floor and a half that was just totally off limits to us. So the kids couldn't see every single thing.
So, but they liked the ocean. They loved the ocean exhibit with all the like primordial ocean stuff.
That was cool.
Our son was like over the moon. He loved it. And our daughter loved it was great. The ROM was fun. And we left early. Like we ate a terrible lunch. Honestly, ROM, do better.
I didn't know the ROM even had a restaurant. I'll be honest.
It was hard to find the restaurant at the ROM.
And then when you found it, you kind of wished you hadn't.
Yeah.
There was
so bad.
The cafeteria, and then there was like the lunch area.
It was bad.
Which was not the same. Yeah, there was a you bring your own lunch area, and then there was a you bought lunch area.
Yeah.
They were both on the same basement level, but you had to go up one level, over, and then back down.
You couldn't get there from here. It was not great.
So in this middle school trip that I took, we did Medieval Times, CN Tower, and the ROM. And so we reenacted that with the kids.
Yeah, because then we went to Medieval Times, which was honestly the highlight. Not necessarily, like I love Medieval Times.
Mostly for Meg.
I love how fun medieval, like I love how ridiculous it is that it's like a dinner theater thing. But the best part is all the other nights, we did not pick our night. We got randomly assigned the Green Knight, and every other night has the long flowing hair, the
clean shaven, period appropriate. I'm in Medieval Times. I'm dressed like a knight, and ours looked like an 80s beat cop. He had a mullet. He had a mustache. He looked like he owned a lot of denim vests, and he probably beat people up on the job when he wasn't working at Medieval Times. Like he looked like you had lifted him from an 80s cop procedural late
and
80s,
dropped
early
him
90s,
in, and it felt
actual police officer,
yeah.
like American police officer.
Yeah, the mullet with the short
Canadian
little bangs and the shave down the side. Yeah, if he had come out and been the denim knight, it would have just been perfect. It would have been
like correct. Yeah, but he was the Green Knight and he was our knight, and Meg got a flower from him. So.
Yes, I'll invite you all to the wedding. So the knights, I didn't realize that the knights like throw out carnations to their area, and they did it like 4 or 5 times, like for each of their sections. Like they just kept like coming around and like
they were a lot of flowers,
throwing their flowers out.
The deflowering ritual.
Hush you.
The what ritual?
The deflowering ritual, he says.
But
honestly, and the other really funny part was my son only eats bread. And it's like tomato soup, bread, half a fucking chicken, because why not eat chicken when you can eat chicken? And then like dessert. But every time the hostess came around, my son was like, is there more garlic bread? And finally she was like, my Lord, the kitchen can make no more garlic bread. And he was like, but like, can they though? Like, I'm pretty sure you can bring me more garlic bread. I think he got
3 rounds of extra garlic bread.
And
because he asked with the supreme genetic charm that he has. And I don't know where it comes from. Rachel doesn't know where it comes from. It was some random combination of recessive genes to have this like
blue-eyed, blonde-haired, gets anything he wants.
This little baby Ger child that you've given birth to.
This emergent, like, huge charisma.
Gerisma, if you will.
It is.
He has the Gerisma.
And he tried to get them to not put the chicken on his plate. she was gonna put. It's like they give you literally, and it's not even exaggeration, half a fucking chicken.
Okay, so
like
I've been to
like they
medieval
take a chicken and they cleave it in
2
twain,
or
and then they
3
give you half of it.
before this visit to medieval times.
Yeah.
Every other time I've been to medieval times, it has been a Cornish hen.
Okay, well, it was not
which
a
is
Cornish
a
hen.
whole small chicken.
Yeah.
But this time it's half of a regular sized chicken.
Of a giant big bird.
Yeah, no. He was like, no chicken. She was like, my lord, I believe your parents would object. Because like she's basically we paid for the chicken, Amos. Get the fucking chicken. And so
our server did an amazing job of staying in character.
She was. But then
like your parents have already
given us their gold or whatever.
Submitted the coin for your meal, and so
please let me give you this chicken so no one gets mad at me.
My plate or something.
No, they put it on his plate, but it was the largest chicken of all. It was like Bruce the chicken. It was the largest chicken I've ever seen in my life, and it was like splat.
I had no idea what to expect for this dinner because, like, my mom went to medieval times fully like 35 years ago. It was like my dad was taken there by his work for a work thing, and she was dragged along, and she hated it, and she was like miserable about it. And she's like, "Yeah, and the food was bad, remember?" And I was like, "Okay." So I had no expectations, and then all of a sudden the food comes out, and she brings half of a whole fucking chicken. Like I was expecting like one drumstick, and I go, "Fuck yourself," like milady, bam, giant. And I was like, "Okay, it's not going to taste good." It tasted really good. The soup was good.
Yeah.
The garlic bread was good. They had like a little like eclair for dessert. They had like corn on the cob. It was I couldn't finish it because it was like 40 pounds of food, but it tasted
it was
really great.
So much food. It was good. It was really good. And they actually ended up holding we were there a little late, but it was okay because they held the show. One, because there's only one show on the day that we went, which was Sunday. And also the X was going on at the same time. So the expo? The expo was
exposition,
happening.
Yeah.
So like we kept running into exposition traffic because of course we're there for our own exposition, but apparently Canada had their own exposition at the same time.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Some giant carnival.
Right.
Like in the same commercial complex.
Well, I felt so stupid because we were trying to get to medieval times like through buses and trains and stuff. And there were buses that came by with exhibition in big fucking letters on the front, and I was like, "No, that's not where we're going."
Oh yeah,
no, we got
an Uber to medieval times when we could have taken the freaking.
It's because we bought the wrong pass. For
one
the
of
Go
like
pass.
6 buses though.
Instead of buying the Presto pass, we bought the Go pass.
Yeah,
and so we didn't. We would have had to buy a bus pass to take it.
Go Train and Presto work together.
You can, but we did not.
I just felt really dumb. I was like, "Wait a minute." That bus went exactly here. I was like, stupid.
Like right in the entrance.
Yeah, the same entrance. Because I've never been to medieval times. I like forgot, even though from the highway, it's the exhibition right next to the medieval times. Like the building that it's housed in is a really old building that's been there since the beginning of the exhibition. It's this big stone, huge building. Yeah, I'm a moron. I was like, no, it's not our bus. And then like 6 more buses. Like, no, not that one either.
So I have very vivid memories from, it would have been like 1994, traveling on, like riding on a bus, like a charter bus, and getting dropped off like on a regular city block with like 5 to 6 story buildings. And then walking into one of these buildings, and there's medieval times.
But this is where medieval times has been.
But maybe they dropped you off where like the houses were, because there's neighborhood.
I researched it as extensively as I could using all of my internet sleuthing skills.
Indeed.
Yes.
And medieval times moved there to this government building. It's like, I don't know, it was like an abandoned government building.
Yeah.
And it was like a complex of like 3 buildings, and medieval times was like, we want the whole thing so we can have a courtyard for our horses. They moved there in 1993, which means if I went there in 1994,
they would just move there.
It would have 100% been this old government building. 20 years ago.
Maybe they knocked buildings down around it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm remembering like, multiple story buildings.
You were also very
all
small.
around. Yeah, I
very
would have
short.
also been.
They would have all seemed very tall.
9 to 10 years old at the time.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that the hot knight who works there now loves me.
Contaminated.
And threw me a flower, and I took
a
picture with him.
We got a picture with him. We did.
We need to get his Instagram handle.
Well, and the weirdest thing is, no matter at what time you leave medieval times, it feels like you're going to walk out into a deserted, like 11 o'clock at night street. And it was like,
absolutely.
It was like 5 when we left.
Because it was so dark on the inside.
It's like a casino.
They have falcons. Yeah. I forgot to mention the falcons. They have, I didn't know that was a part of the show, but they had guys like having falcons do tricks. And then you can see the little room where the falcon like hangs out after the show. So that was kind of fun.
That was kind of cool.
I wonder if the light-proofedness of the entire complex of rooms is so that the falcons don't get disoriented.
Well, it looked like it was ready to die. It was sitting there like, bloom.
Although I do,
so sad.
I wonder if it's the same falcon I saw in 1994.
I hope not. I did appreciate that, like they had a little room. Like they must have 3 falcons because they had 3 little like perches. And I liked that it clearly looked like we bring the falcon out here after the show, and he or she sits on their little perch so that you can look at them after the show. But like that's not where they live. They have a bigger cage somewhere in the back. Like you could tell that there was a much larger back area, and it was the same for the horses. Like you could tell that they had like larger stables just in like a back area, and they had like a little viewing part, but like you could tell that there were more areas because I'm a Debbie Downer. So while we were sitting there, I was Googling like, is PETA okay with medieval times? And I only found one allegation of like animal cruelty, and it was in a separate medieval times, like in California. So I choose to believe that means that the medieval times in Toronto treats their animals very well, and all the animals are happy and loved and well cared for. Because like otherwise, like emotionally, I'll feel kind of bummed out.
Otherwise, they would get flack. They wouldn't stick around if they were abusing.
You would, yeah. I mean, you would hope. So I mean, they had a bunch of horses, like, and they didn't have any of the horses out for like longer than a couple of minutes. So the horse would come out and like do a lap or like do a trick, and then like go in and like hang out for a while and have like some downtime. They had the same thing with the falcon. Like they had the falcon do a couple of laps around the arena, and then like the falcon got like his smoke break, his time off. So like it seemed like it was okay. I mean, the only thing I didn't love is that we had to do the gauntlet of gift shops on the way out the door.
Yes. Amos was like, can I please get something to remember this by?
On the way into the building, there was like an entire city block of fences around this complex of ex-government buildings.
Yes, it was for
and
like
there were signs on this on these fences that said like, hey, don't bang on the fences. There's like a big free range horse area behind these fences, and we don't want you to spook the horses.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That makes me feel a little better.
They had probably like at least half of a city block of like open range area.
So what I'm going to do is grab the dial and hit fast forward through the next 2 days. Because what we did next was we went to the CN Tower.
That was my fast forward noise.
Yes, we went to the CN Tower. Meg went on her own adventure. And then we went to see the Jays game. And they lost.
But like, okay. So we don't have to talk about the Jays game because it was sort of disappointing. Except we need to talk about our amazing drinks. And what was the thing that you wanted and didn't buy? It had like a weird name. It was like the chuggin.
It was like the
Hold
snack.
on, I have not heard about this.
It was a cup. And on top of the cup was a bowl that had chicken nuggets and french fries in it. So it was like a beer cup with the... And
as
it was
my grandmother says, it's a beautiful thing.
It was a beautiful thing. And it was called the oh my God, if you hadn't asked me, I could have told you. It wasn't like a snack pack. It was like a...
It was a rhyming name.
It was a rhyming name. And I was going to get it. And I was all prepped. And the guy was like, you don't want that. And I was like, I do want that. And he was like, it's cheaper to buy them separately. And I'm like, but then I don't get the cup with
multiple times. He was like, ma'am, you don't want it. You're going to get real sick. You don't want to do that. And you were like, yes, I do
that. And then we ordered the drinks that were like lemon gin punch or whatever. And they were like, she looked very much like, this is a waste of your money. I'm like, ma'am, you don't know me. And I want my tiny little Jay's hat that goes on top of my cup.
First off, they didn't have, as far as I could tell, they didn't have a picture of this alcohol drink. They just had like a sign that was like Blue Jays
grub tub. It was a grub tub.
The grub tub. Yeah,
I wanted a grub tub.
Name.
I wanted a grub tub so bad. I was like, I have never identified more with the name for a food and drink combination than I have for the grub tub. And I need the grub tub. And he was like, ma'am, you don't want the grub tub. And I was like, you don't know me. You don't know who I am. You don't know the kinds of things I've done. Give me the grub tub.
I
All
like
right,
that the name
I feel like the grub tub is going to be the screenshot for this episode.
Absolutely.
Or at least
you should find pictures of it.
Included in. Oh, yeah. If I search Blue Jays grub tub,
it comes up.
Yes.
The grub tub.
My favorite part of it is it just sounds like the kind of thing you would feed to a farm animal. That's my favorite fucking part. Like, you just have to bring out the trough. Like, I was so delighted.
And it feels very appropriate to growing up in rural Michigan.
Grub tub?
The grub tub?
Yes, the grub tub. Yeah.
Mom, I want a grub tub.
Oh, that's super, eh?
Oh, I need the grub tub. Hey, buddy, Bruce.
Hey, buddy, can you go out and get me a grub tub from the supermarket?
From the supermarket, eh?
That'd be super, eh?
Grub tub broke me.
The grub tub would break us all.
What was that drink called? It was something shaker because it came in a shaker cup.
No, it was like something. Oh God, I can't remember now.
But it had shaker in the name because I just thought that meant that they had shaken it.
It's the Blue Jays rum punch. They just call it a rum punch.
Yes. I thought it had shaker something because I remember just thinking shaker was just like part of the that they shook it, but it came to us in a cocktail shaker, which it was not.
It's a cocktail shaker
with a
Blue Jays
with
helmet
tiny
cap.
Yeah, which again they don't have any pictures of this drink, so I just thought, okay, it's just an alcoholic drink. It'll just be like the beer, and it'll come in like a reusable cup. It does come in a reusable cup, but it is a clear plastic drink shaker, cocktail shaker with the Blue Jays logo on the front of it, and on the top a tiny fucking baseball hat. I was so delighted. Cute. The drink was like a neon blue, the color that has never been seen in nature. It was wonderful.
It was perfect. It was everything you wanted it to be. Yes, it was. It was good.
I guess I was so happy. I was so fucking happy. They lost terribly. And our friend Cavan from last year, he no longer is a Blue Jay. He wasn't even there.
He's a fill-in, which means he's not a real Blue Jay.
He was to us. But we were bummed out just not to see him at the game.
He was.
We did compensate for that by eating many hot dogs and much poutine.
And we had killer seats. We were like 3 rows from the field, and then the girls behind us were probably as entertaining as the actual baseball game.
Oh, I forgot about them. We latched onto him last year. I'm a little sad that he wasn't there. I mean, there were still some players I recognized, like Vladdy. Vladdy was still there. Some of the other guys. Yeah. I had a fun time at the game. I really enjoyed it. I was sad that they lost, obviously, but we had a great time. I thought, except the girls behind us, the tweenage girls behind us. Weren't they dating one of the ball boys or
no,
trying
they were
date
like,
him?
They were flirting.
They were flirting with one of the ball boys. And she was like, tell him you're 20. They were 17. And she was like, tell him you're 20. And she was like, tell him I'm 19, about to turn 20. Like, that made it better. And you're just sitting there like, I was never, ever, ever, ever this young.
And she's like, oh my God.
We were born in 45.
Old, like 23.
No, like 30.
30.
30 was the old.
Yeah. That's where my old years picked up.
You're right. The other friend that was not trying to get with the ball boy. So there was the girl who was trying to get with the ball boy.
Yes,
and then there was her friend who was there with her.
And she was on a dating app.
The friend went down to greet the ball boy.
Yeah.
And she's like, or they were getting ready to, and they said, "Oh my God, what if he's old, like 23?"
The ball boy.
What if the ball boy is old, like 23?
Like, oh, honey.
But he has a full-time job.
Yeah.
He works for the Toronto Blue Jays.
That's got to see.
He works at the Rogers Stadium. That's like a stable job.
I can't fault that reasoning. I don't know about the 23, but the like, wow, he's employed. It's like,
I so hot right this conversation, except when they were talking about what counts as old, and then I turned into a pile of dust and bones, and I couldn't hear anything else. I just went.
Well, luckily,
and as someone who in 4 weeks, 4 weeks,
do you know when your birthday is?
40 years old.
40.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna hit the big
old
40.
Woo! I know. Well, anyway, we went to Canada's Wonderland the next day.
Your kids nearly broke me, but you almost adopted a child.
Oh, we did adopt a child.
Yeah.
We adopted a family, a mother and a child. Like, we waited in line behind them on the
we're
first
connected on
line.
Facebook now.
On the first line, and
legit.
Penny was like, I'm pretty sure we're best friends forever. And so then she decided she was going to wait in line with this girl. And I knew where this was headed, and I had paid the extra money to have fast passes for all of us so that we could get to the front of the line and experience as many rides as possible throughout the day. And so I picked off my fast pass and gave it to this little girl.
If you're very careful with the paper and glue, I guess they're not paper anymore. They're like a paper plastic composite.
My feeling is
if
I have paid the money for this.
You can
for one human person. Yeah.
Peel off.
I'm not manufacturing additional ones.
Like end of the wristband.
Yeah.
Yes, we just traded off for the ride.
So we traded off. Yeah. And then it became very egalitarian. Which one of us is not going to Ralph if we ride another ride?
Rachel was very careful to pick it off and put it back on in such a way that it could slip back off and on.
No, I just put it on her and left it on her.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Because Matt, I think you and I ended up switching between. So, yeah.
But then me and you also ended up picking ours off in a way that it became easier to pick it off and on.
And they gave a nice excuse because, like, when the kids wanted someone to ride the ride, like, you could, but then you could be like, oh, we only have so many. Your dad has to go this one. And I was like, in the bushes.
Yeah, like, oh, we're missing one fast pass. We can't both go on.
Oh, man.
Because your BFF that you just made
now, this minute,
one other adult is going on the ride. And that's all of the fast passes that we have. So the one adult that you are asking to go on the ride with you can't go on the ride with you because
because they're going to throw up all over themselves.
The restriction on the fast passes.
There was one ride, and I don't even remember which one it was now. I think maybe it was the one where we were riding in little cars.
It used to be the Italian Job, but it was just like the backlot simulator or something.
Yeah, is that the one that the kids had me ride twice in a row?
It was like,
oh yeah,
I wrote it and I thought
out with the girl's mom.
Yeah.
And she said when that ride came out, at Cedar Fair theme parks, they have thrill levels for each of the roller coasters. And this Italian Job roller coaster, which did it have a different name now?
It was like the backlot thrill coaster.
So they used to be owned by Paramount, the movie company. And so when it first came out, it was the Italian Job, and they were Mini Coopers.
Yeah, they still were. They just didn't make sense.
Had a
just cars behind the movie studio.
Plot role in the Italian Job movie.
They did, yeah.
So this roller coaster was called the Italian Job, and so all of the cars that you ride in are Mini Coopers.
Yes.
I sat out this ride,
which was good because it destroyed my bladder.
the mom of the girl that our daughter made be best friends with was telling me that the year it came out was the first time she came to Canada's Wonderland, and it was like too much.
Well,
Like,
it
the
didn't look like
thrill
it was
level-
gonna be. That was
Right,
the thing.
Because it's like little cutesy little cars. And you're like, oh, this is fine.
It was
Right.
rated as a thrill level 5.
It didn't
but
look like
to
it, though.
look at the ride.
No, but then when you
it
rode it, you were like,
looked like
correct.
I really
Yeah.
liked
a
it.
kid's ride.
It was fun. It was really fun, but it was very, oh God. And then they're like tiny and it squished your bladder. But it was fun.
That was the
It
one thing.
fun.
Yeah, I have wide childbearing hips, so trying to get into the Mini Cooper, I was like, oh, I couldn't. One extra corn dog, and I would not have fit today. I was real snug in there, but I really enjoyed it. But then when the kids were like, we need to ride it twice with you, I was like, okay,
yeah,
all right, guys, okay, here we go. I have never had such whiplash as I did after we left Canada's Wonderland. I was like, my neck has not spun in that direction before. I have never been on an upside down roller coaster before. I'd never been on a lying down roller coaster before. Your kids did not give a shit. They were like, next ride.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, guys, here we go. And I was a little bit hungover from the Blue Jays game.
Yeah. So the next day, well, the best part about that was going in to Canada's Wonderland, we followed a taxi. And I just want to know what life choices lead you
Only the right ones
to taking a taxi and then trying to take the
parking lot.
Right, trying to take the taxi into the parking lot. And the guy was like, no, I'm not paying. I'm a taxi. He's like, sir, you are driving into the parking lot. I have to charge you. And we were behind them for a really long time.
Oh, they were negotiating the shit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the actual best part of being there was that we all wore our themed T-shirts. Rachel, did you forget?
We did. We wore our Ger Can, Hot Ger summer shirts.
Hot Ger. So I was so proud of it. I didn't let Rachel see the picture before I handed her the shirt, and it was better than Christmas for me. I was like, you gotta wear it now. You gotta wear it. We have a picture on our Instagram page if anyone wants to see what it looked like. But it's essentially a little drawing of Ger in the style of Snoopy, dressed as Klaus Helsing from the Dracula the series show that he did in the 1990.
Yeah,
I was very proud of it. We have group pictures. I love it. I love that we were a little tour group together. Sorry, end of day.
But then we left Canada's Wonderland, and Matt and I drove the kids all the way to my family in Michigan and unceremoniously dumped them. I mean, nicely dumped them.
Right,
and then we turned around and came back because now it was time for adult business.
Yes.
Because we went to see La Cage aux Folles, which if we talk about La Cage aux Folles, we're going to be talking about it for an hour because it was probably the best play I have ever seen in my
We should record a separate episode about La Cage aux Folles.
Well, we could watch The Birdcage and talk about La Cage aux Folles and compare
as
the two.
A comparison.
And I liked how the smoke was used in that one.
We should do that for Ger Can Get It.
But I did
absolutely. I'm here for it.
But I did like how they used the smoke in that one because it was more like we are a smoky 70s club and less we're going to continuously use the smoke machine for effects. It was more of like a setting the atmosphere. Yeah.
Oh, and
it was an augmentation rather than a.
It felt right. I thought it was kind of cool that they had like a little like you had club seating on the stage, sort of like around where the stage show was.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I loved that part of watching the people on both sides of the stage.
Like they were in the audience.
As they were attendees.
The one guy who plays the mean French politician, the right-wing French politician father of Anne, before we meet that character, he's on stage as just like a random person in the audience watching the show.
Yes.
They dressed him like a German BDSM aficionado.
Leather dom?
Yeah, a German dom. Yeah, in pleather lederhosen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It was such a good play.
It was
the
so
symbolism was on point.
Yeah. Oh, correct.
Yeah. Yes. When Steve Ross does that moment where he comes out, because they're like, "Oh, I've invited my mother." Hot Dracula has invited his mother. He wants his mother to be there.
His
he wants
biological mother.
Yeah, he wants everything mainstream. He wants everything like on the
heteronormative,
on the acceptable end of 1970s morality so that he can mesh with this girl's family that he's in love with. And so he wants his biological mother there, even though she's not the one who raised him, because it looks better it's better optics. And of course she doesn't come because there's a reason she's not been his mother this whole time. And so Steve Ross, who is playing Alban, who does unbelievable as that character,
I was so happy for him,
has to show up as the mother. And so they open the door and Steve Ross is wearing this like pink knit skirt suit and goes, "Here's mother." And it's like the best moment in the whole play. He's got like the great wig on and like just everything about that play was fabulous. But that moment was just like, it was good. It was a good show.
Especially because Steve Ross, like, he never gets to be the star. Like there was, I told you about this. I read, there was like an interview with him before he did the show. And he's like, I always play like the schlub and like the main character's like sidekick or his lackey, and I never get to be like the star and the hero, and he's gay, so he's like, I never get to play like a gay character even, like that's. So he was just talking about it and talking about being a person of size and getting to have this role where you get to be celebrated, and where he gets to be like the character that the whole play kind of comes around and loves. I was really moved by it. I was like, this, like, I was happy. Like, I liked you in Grand Magic. I've liked you in Merry Wives of Windsor. I like you in everything you've done, but you in this, like, it was like, it was a funny play. Like, it's not like sad.
It was good.
I was like tearing up because I was so moved and so happy. And we got to see him afterwards.
His costumes were
beautiful.
Phenomenal. Every single costume they had him in was beautiful.
Yeah, he owned
the
stage.
So good. It was and we saw him afterwards and he's in like Teva sandals with like ankle socks and cargo shorts and like a t-shirt and a baseball. I loved it.
He was so sweet and so kind. And we had a whole conversation. They served like the craziest drink in the lobby of all of the theaters in Stratford, and it's called, I have the name of it here. It's made by a company called Collective Arts, and the drink is called Botany, sparkling botanical water with cucumber, lemongrass, and lime. It tasted like a motherfucking cocktail, but it's just bubbly water. I am trying to see if I can get it in the States because I want to mainline it. It was so good. He's like, "What are you drinking?" And I was like, "Let me tell." I was like selling it to Steve Ross. I was like, "This is an alcohol-free cocktail. It is delicious, Steve Ross. You should." Like, I was like, "Stratford, you should pay me." I was fucking selling it to every actor.
You sold it to the lady behind us in line.
I did. So
she got it too. Yeah.
I was like, you guys, every theater we went into, I had a brick of chocolate and this cucumber water. And I was having the best time of my life. But also, most important, as you said, guess who else was in La Cage aux Folles? Hot Dracula.
Hot Dracula. Whom I would like to point out, you called Hot Dracula to his motherfucking face.
He knows what he is.
You were like,
okay, so
you were like, "Hi, you're Hot Dracula."
We waited outside the theater after the play ended.
Yes.
We waited outside the like staff entrance, and he popped out in like a full sweatsuit.
Yep.
Wasn't it a sweatsuit?
It was a Stratford festival.
It was a Stratford festival.
Yeah, it was like a cast member sweatsuit.
Yeah.
It was a real good sweatsuit. I was a fan of it.
Perfect.
And you were like, "Hi, Hot Dracula." What? Hello?
I did not say. I said, "Hi."
Okay. Here's
James
what Meg
Daly
said.
is his name.
Yeah.
Here's what Meg said. "I've been following you since Hot Dracula."
I made it creepy.
And he said, "Oh, okay."
He goes, "Bloop, bloop. Oh, okay." Like it took a minute. And then he goes, "You look like a vampire." Because Meg was in all black.
All black with her sunglasses.
Sometimes I forget who I am, I guess, a little bit. I was like, "What do you mean?" And then like my soul left my body and was like, "Oh, bitch, because you're wearing black from head to toe with sunglasses and your skin is blue."
It was a beautiful play. It was a good moment. It was good.
And I didn't realize that James Daly, he has a beautiful singing voice. Like I don't want to say angelic because that sounds almost like dismissive or like I'm saying he has like a childlike voice. He doesn't. I like his character is not the main character in this. Like his character like is the impetus for everything that happens.
Yeah,
he's not the main
character. Like number 4 in the hierarchy of important plot characters.
If he had not been that strong of a singer, it wouldn't have ruined everything. He doesn't have to be that strong of a singer. He has a beautiful, beautiful voice. I was really touched. I was really surprised. And also 6'4",
which is in contrast to his pirate, like, I'm overstimulated. I need to just like have a physical release. Like, I'm overwhelmed as a pirate, and he goes, ah! in the Wendy and Peter Pan play. Yeah. So he did that like 4 or 5 times, and I think in Wendy and Peter Pan, and I think he did the voice like once,
several times. Every time he was trying to
in La Cage aux Folles.
Oh, in La Cage aux Folles, yeah.
Yes. So in La Cage aux Folles, he did that voice one time.
Yeah.
But in Wendy and Peter Pan, he did it like 4 or 5 times.
Right.
Because it was I am trying to fit in to this very pirate themed culture, but now I am overstimulated and overwhelmed. I just need like a vocal release. And he would do this voice.
Yeah.
Which was a very distinct, like very high quality tone of voice of like screaming. But then he only did it once in La Cage.
Yeah. And then we had 2 seconds to get food. And that's actually where we met Allie for the first time. And I had a Southwestern wrap that legit tasted like a shepherd's pie in a tortilla. I don't even know how they managed it, but
wait, I don't remember where we ate. Where did we end up eating? Oh, at that weird bar, at that weird insane
bar. The wing bar.
We had no luck with food. I swear to God, this whole trip, I had no luck with food.
But I felt like encouraged, like reassured, like fortified
Gillies
as a human being, because my facial hair was like the bat signal for Allie to find us as a group.
Yeah, she was like, I recognize Matt's beard.
Yes, she's like, I recognize Matt by his facial hair. It's like,
well, it is distinctive.
That's how we find you in a crowd. Absolutely.
I have value in a community.
And then we went to see Romeo and Juliet, which is when I began to suspect that we can never see Shakespeare at 8:00 at night.
That's a good call. Well, I think
I
think there are 2 problems. I think one, Shakespeare at 8:00 at night is a lot to ask. Partly because there's no way to get food before or after. You're just fucked from like 4 p.m. onwards. And also just like we had so many days where we tried to do like 2-a-days with plays, because I planned this like a military general with precision, and like it's a lot. It's a lot to put on a body to try and go like play dinner, like for like 4 days in a row. But
it was good. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but they definitely put all their money into La Cage.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like I remembered liking Romeo and Juliet more when I was a kid, and now I'm just sort of like, like you're teenagers. What the fuck do you know?
It was Romeo and Juliet. It was fine.
It was a very just Romeo clean adaptation.
It was just Romeo.
It didn't
and Juliet.
like it wasn't like set in a different time or a different place. They didn't like add a lot of flair and stuff to it. I will say what I really liked. I thought they did an excellent job at their stage fighting.
Yeah, stage fighting was good.
I was really really impressed by that, because so Emilio Vieira, who was in like literally everything that we saw, he played Tybalt, and the scene where Tybalt dies. Which, first off, like, God bless you, kid. You had to die, like, face down on stage and lie there for, like, 30 minutes while people walk around you. And he has just been fighting. So, like, he's breathing really heavy. So you just see his little butt go, like, up and down and up and down and up and down, like, with his breath. I was like, oh, sir, I'm so sorry. But when he dies, I don't remember. Is it Mercutio who kills Tybalt? I feel like maybe. When they have, like, that fight, they get Tybalt, like, on the ground, face down, and they grab him by the hair and like bop him off the fucking floor. And they did it like they clearly like I don't know, like bounce their knee off the floor or something at the same time as his head fake bounces off the floor. So you hear like a whomp. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Like that
it was good.
That comes across very realistic. I'm a little bit worried about this very young actor getting his face carb stomped. He did an excellent job, like collapsing. I felt bad for him, because like there's no angle that you can collapse on stage after doing like that much strenuous behavior and like have your body be like flat and prone and like dead. Like you're breathing. But I thought like the fighting that he did was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And guess who was in this play? Graham Abbey was in this play.
Graham Abbey, who was watching the DNC when he was not on the
in
between
his
scenes,
which I love.
Stage.
He was very nice.
He was very nice.
I mean, we caught him like on the way out to his scooter, and he very graciously took off his little scooter helmet and took pictures with us and hung out with us for a couple minutes. And I got to tell him how much I like when he screams, because it's my favorite thing when he screams. He screams Shakespeare.
Yes.
I love it so goddamn much. I think all Shakespeare should be screamed. I think I only made him a little bit uncomfortable, so that's a positive.
And I would say
I think he was
last
fine.
year,
And then he scooted away.
last year, our visit to Stratford, Graham Abbey's Sir Benedict is my favorite Sir Benedict.
He did such a good job last year. I should have told him how much we enjoyed seeing him last year.
When he's given free reign, he's the best. But then he was just like Father whatever, Capulet.
Yeah.
He didn't have like...
He got to scream, though, at her bedside, which was upsetting.
Even in London Assurance, he was just a side character.
But he was killer.
I feel like he was given a lot of free reign for this like ambulance chaser lawyer character.
He was hysterical.
In London Assurance. It seems like
that's next, because the next day we went to see Something Rotten, which was fabulous.
Okay, so
but
for
like
context,
that's where the budget went. Obviously.
For context,
so funny.
Okay, Matt,
I had no
you're going to
expectations.
London Assurance.
I didn't.
You're going to Something Rotten.
I didn't know what it was.
What is Something Rotten about? I don't know.
I didn't know.
Who knows? Who knows what Something Rotten is about?
Killer. It was so good.
It's a play in Stratford. Sure, let's go.
Don't be a penis. He's really such a genius.
It was amazing.
It was so good.
It was
so
like Broadway.
Everything we saw was good, but some things really blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
And Something Rotten was one of them.
Absolutely.
Lacage blew it out of the water.
Something
Rotten.
And Peter Pan. Wendy
blew
and
it
Peter
out of the
Pan.
water.
Yeah.
And Wendy and Peter Pan blew it out of the water.
Yeah. It was so good we took the kids back and saw it again. And then we went to the London Assurance dinner, and I sat across from the lady who was in Get Hope, which I thought was really interesting. She was really fascinating.
Yeah, I misunderstood what the dinner was going to be. It turns out. I thought it was the dinner for the play. And so when they're like, cast and crew will be there, I thought they meant cast and crew for London Assurance. But what they meant was, this is a fancy dinner for fancy people who support the Stratford Festival, and it's just going to coincide with opening night of London Assurance. So Anthony Kimolino, who is the head of the festival, and I think he directed London Assurance.
Yeah, the artistic
he gave a pretty good breakdown of the play.
Yeah.
I thought I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it going into the play.
No, it gave us more of an idea of what we were going into, because he talked about the writer of the play and a little bit of of biographical details about his life and how young he was when he wrote it, and then some of the stage conventions, which was helpful because this play they do a lot of asides to the audience where they just kind of like talk directly to the audience and they're sort of away from everyone else on stage, and the way that they face
breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, the way that they face, even when they're not breaking the fourth wall, is sort of weird and turned towards the audience. And he's like, that's kind of how they would have performed it at the time.
Very Deadpool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, but I thought that the dinner was all London Assurance, and it was a speech about London Assurance, but it felt more like it was aimed at all the really fancy high level donors for the whole festival.
America.
Well, so they had that was the good thing for us, and also the thing that made me feel awkward and like a hillbilly was they made this dinner available if you were either one of the high level donors, like the high level donors, the really fancy ones. Like they had a guy talk who was the former president of Cogeco, which is a big cable company in Canada. The president of the whole cable company was there, and I was like, oh, holy shit! And then they're like, so you either have to be a high level donor, or if you are American, if your billing address is in America. And I was like, hey y'all, that's me. So we showed up. They put us, as they should, they put us in the asshole American table, way on the edge.
We looked good. We were turned out. We just happened to be at the end table, which was fine.
It was kind of like when you're at a wedding and you're at the table of former coworkers and like third cousins. Like that's
there's a movie. Isn't there a movie all about that? It's like Table 14
that was us.
or whatever.
So we said at the end, I got to talk to some really fun tax accountants from America. So we had like a whole conversation about international taxation, which put some bugs in my ear, which was good. I thought the dinner was good, and not everyone thought the dinner was good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
I thought it was fun.
It was
wine was bottomless, and they refilled it constantly. So it was fine.
Yeah, like every 10 to 15 minutes,
it didn't hurt.
The waitress was around. Oh, which one would you like a refill?
Well, she liked you, Matthew, I think.
These 4 wines.
Well, she goes red or white. I said, can you put them both in there and make it a rosé? And she goes, I don't think that's how it works. And the guy across from me was like, and I was like, it's fine. Just put whatever one is fine. Like it was a joke. I'm sorry. We're not the
classy table.
The whole time, and I drank all of it.
It was good. It was good. And then we went to see London Assurance, which Meg had to go get the mug, and she ended up having to like sprint in heels back to her hotel, like a mile away.
2 miles, a mile both ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And then back. And then we got like, we
finally
met up with our Patreon. So we met up with Kelly, who we mention every time we make vomiting noises. Hi, Kelly. And Kelly's husband, and Allie was there, who follows us on Instagram. It was kind of fun. It was like
and Emma from the Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah, and Emma from so it was kind of like a meetup, like a podcast network meetup, and it felt like this is really cool. Like I made these friends because I'm on the internet and I talk about shit that I like.
#internet celebrity.
And they like the same shit that I like, and so we can like get together and hang out and have a cool moment.
And Kelly
together.
Graciously created a bingo board for all of us.
She did.
Which was the funniest fucking part of my whole life.
With the characteristics on it. And she had markers and laminated bingo. Like,
she was prepared.
Shout out to Kelly. That was work. And she put in the work. Like, it was so much. And it was fun to have during the play. Because there was like a moment where he's trying to kiss somebody.
We
and
we got to point out to each other, like, that ass. When he sticks his butt in the air.
Well, then
and I got to hold up my card with
he
that
hit all the characteristics within 30 seconds of the play opening.
He did. Yeah. No, it was good. This was his moment. Like he was born for that character. He was a great character in London Assurance. It was a great play. And we were really close, which was fine. But the way it was blocked is every once in a while they would all have their backs to me and I didn't quite know what was going on. I wish we'd had one more time to see it. But that's okay. It was still good. Like I really enjoyed it.
So I think in future, my plan is we're not gonna get tickets for opening night or closing night. We're gonna pick a random in the fucking middle night when we can get like center
during the
tickets
day.
During the day. Thank you. When we can get because I thought they had made it sound like so they had that opening night dinner and I was like okay like he'll be at that. He wasn't at that. It was like random actors from random things, which was great, but like it's not what I thought it was gonna be. And then I was like okay, opening night they have like an opening night party, but they made it sound like it was like a party that like the whole audience, like everyone is involved in it. It's not just like the crew, the cast and crew, like the closing night party. But that seemed like it was only the audience, like just hanging out and drinking after the play and not the cast and crew. So I was like, okay, like doubly wrong on that one. And then we went outside. You smartly figured he was not going to be at the party, that he was going to just be like piecing out. So you basically threw yourself in front of his car to make him wait for all of us, which I appreciate.
I did. He was coming out. I was like, okay. So I called you because I saw him coming out and I was like, he's outside. And you literally went outside and then hung the phone up and just like rallied the indoor group and everybody came running out. And I'm like,
because we had split up into 2 groups because we didn't know where he was going to be.
Can you wait a minute? Can you just wait a minute while we're waiting for them to come out? And he's like, sure. Can we start walking towards my car? And I was like, yeah, that's fine.
No.
It was good. You know what? We didn't black out.
We didn't.
We handled it well.
It was great.
We gave him a gift. Nobody had to prompt him. Like prompt us to give him a gift.
We were able to talk and not disappear into the white room. He was in sort of a hurry because
Rick Forsyth.
Yeah, but he was I don't remember his title. He's like the
he was the stunt actor.
He was like the stunt double. He was the stunt double for Nick
in Forever
Night. He had just passed like
they
2
were
days before.
Best
by
friends
like a heart
for
attack,
the past
I think,
30
right?
years.
Yeah, it's not, so
he was only like 67. It was really sad. Yeah,
he was. I feel like every time we see him, I feel like we're in the asshole position, and I don't mean to be, and I feel bad about it. But he he was like not in the mood to like hang out and be friends and stuff, but he graciously waited for us just to say hello and give him the little gift bag. And I was like, you don't have to open it. And he's like, okay. And I was like, good, open it later.
Yeah.
So that was positive. And I got to show him Kelly's bingo card and like walk through. I was like, see how this one says dead ass? Sir, I want to explain this to you.
Oh my God, Meg. When you handed him the bingo card, I was like, no. And then he went, oh, they're characteristics. And he goes, haha, funny. But then like on it are like weird, like all of our characteristics, which are, you know, in context, really funny. But then out of context,
they're hilarious. You're welcome. So I was like, sir, you're beloved by Elvis. Let me explain to you how we make fun of you 1 hour a week.
You're like world's greatest actor. See right there. It says so on the card.
He was like, do you want me to have this? And I was like, if you want to have it. He's like, that's okay. And I was like, that's fine. You'll get it when we talk about it on the thing. But he liked the characteristics thing. Like I told him that you created that. He laughed. Funny. So yeah, that was positive.
You know what? We narked on ourselves. So there it goes.
Yeah.
It happened.
So you can narc on us now too. It's fine. We've already exposed ourselves. But
cats out of the bag.
But I think that means the podcast has been a success because like once you've seen him do a foghorn leghorn Southern accent to inquire about a puppet giving a blowjob, the fear goes away. I'm not afraid of you anymore. It's fine.
I'm not, and I'm not afraid of you anymore. And then the next day was the 23rd, and it was Nigel Day. Yeah. We met Nigel Bennett and his wife, who was super gracious. They were like lovely people. Stacey Smith. Yeah. They were lovely people. And I really loved me. And then we had breakfast with them. It was the most wholesome, like I had eggs Benedict with La Croix. Like, I don't know. Like I fucking peaked, right? Like I fucking peaked. I can't go anywhere from here. You know, like every time I eat eggs Benedict from now, I'm going to be like, well, I could be having this with, I'm going to have to make like an eggs Bennett and then just,
oh, it was truly, I will say.
Oh, eggs Nigel Bennett.
Yeah. I will say that, so we ate at a place called Romeo's in Stratford because obviously you have to call it Romeo's if you're in Stratford, Ontario. I will say that it carried on the theme of every restaurant that we ate at the entire time where I was like, this is fine, I guess. This is not as good as I had.
Mine was really good. Mine had Montreal steak or Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal smoked meat.
Pastrami yeah.
Montreal meat.
Yeah, Montreal meat or whatever. But it was really good. Like I didn't eat it all because I'm sitting across from Nigel Bennett. Like and
it was hard to eat in front of Nigel Bennett. I will agree with that. I was
like to Toronto was so last year the whole theme of Toronto was meat sweats.
Yeah, just so much meat
sweats.
We didn't have time to eat. Next year we're back to meat sweats.
This year, 2024, we did not have time for the meat sweats.
No, it was just actor sweats.
We had like
legit
Eat
sweats.
some meat.
Earned
eat
sweats.
Some meat.
Yeah.
Flop sweats.
Shove that food in your face.
Next
we got to
year,
go.
I think we can lean hard into the sweat part of meat sweats.
Yeah. I think the plan next year is
Gerthering 2025.
Breaking it up into two like little trips and giving us time to breathe between shows and seeing earlier shows so we have time to get dinner at places that will hopefully still be open. I know that everyone in Stratford is like 75. I know there's like 20-year-old actors and then the 75-year-old people who live in Stratford. Like I'm aware of that, but I need to eat. Like I need food.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I liked our breakfast. I thought it was really good. And we talked with Stacey and Nigel about like their daughter who just graduated in film. So I'm looking forward to, you know, if she has any short films, we could talk about them on the podcast. And it was just a really, like he signed our poster and
it was very wholesome.
He was so sweet with us.
She had looked for Forever Night stuff and all she could find was like the third book in the series of the Keeper, like the Keepers of the King, like the Ethical Vampire series that he wrote with
the Lord Richard Dunn books. Yeah.
Yeah, and he signed the third one for us, which was great, and I have it, and I'm going to shadow box it, like I'm never going to touch it, because I have my throwaway copy, I'll read that one. And she said that he has a lamp from The Raven, and she was like, you can have the lamp, and he was like, that's my lamp, Stacey.
Why are you giving away my lamp? I
like that lamp, and I was like, oh, well, I don't need the lamp.
Nigel and his daughter both love, like, capital L, love this.
Stacey was
like, and
Stacey's meet me at my house.
And Stacey's like, get this lamp the fuck out of my house.
Do you know there were two wolves inside me? There was like
convince Stacey to give me the lamp and give Nigel some time with the lamp.
Look, it was like that moment in a movie when the angels show up on your shoulder, like an angel and a devil, and the angel was like, that's his lamp. His daughter's going to want his lamp. That's a memento of her father when he was in this like really cool television show that, she's in film and television. Someday that may mean a lot to her. Let her keep the lamp. And the other one was like, Stacy would give you the lamp. Just arrange a meeting in the next hour.
Bugging her about the lamp.
That lamp is yours. They don't know where you live.
Tomorrow.
Once that lamp is in your car, that lamp is your lamp. And I was just like, better ask your daughter first. Make sure she doesn't want the lamp.
It felt in my heart, it felt exactly the same as when Kathy Fisher was like, oh, I have a whole warehouse full of stuff I just want to get rid of. Where half of my brain was like, you need to get rid of your own shit. You don't need more shit. And the other half was like, Kathy shit. Get the shit from Kathy. What does Kathy have? Like, just like
Kathy,
that gremlin.
Give me an address and a date.
I will be there
with a U-Haul.
I was like, oh, you need help cleaning out that storage shed? Here I am, Kathy. Like, I just like full on gremlin mode. And I felt that coming. I felt that rising in my gut when they're like, oh, I don't like this lamp. I don't want anything to do with this lamp. I was like, shut up, gremlin. Stop it, gremlin.
Like, you hire the service, 2 men in a truck. They show up with the truck and they're like, I don't know why the fuck I'm here, but they tell me to move boxes. I move boxes.
You put in there what Kathy tells you to put in there. But I ultimately chose the angel side, and I was like, you better ask your daughter if she wants the lamp, because like I'm not gonna.
You don't want to steal from an old man, is what you're telling me.
I did it, and from his daughter.
Right, in the end, our goal is to be able to say the world is a better place,
right? And
because
if I
of the decisions
this
I made.
snatch this woman's like memento from her dad's career, that doesn't make me a better person, but I still want the lamp. I want that to be clear.
Right.
Stacy, if you're listening,
it's totally
that lamp has
totally
a home
fine to say I want it
anytime. Yeah, no, anything you find, you just let me know.
If Nigel's like, oh, like, look, here's a bunch of sword pins that I don't have anything to do with. You call us. You call us, Stacy, please. But wait, you forgot the best part of Nigel, which is I carry my poster in a great big poster tube, and I put a bunch of stickers on it. So every time that we have gone to a location to meet a Forever Night actor, I have gone onto Redbubble and I have bought a sticker with like the name of where we went. So I have a sticker that says Parsippany, New Jersey, from when we saw John Kapelos, and I have one from Orlando, Florida, when we saw Kathy Disher, and I have one for Stratford for Ger and for Nigel. And then I was like, well, my poster tube looks a little bald. It looks a little empty. So I put a bunch of other Forever Night themed stickers all over it. And I had a little space. So I thought, I'm going to represent myself. No one else could be proud of this podcast. I'm proud of this podcast. So I got a sticker of our GCGI logo. And Stacy was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, well, let me tell you, Stacy. Let me tell you all about it. So she was like,
but your tennis partner.
She's like, my God. And she was like, I would like one. So Rachel, you know how to work the internet better than I do. So you sent her she legit said that she wanted to get a sticker. So you sent her a little gift card because she wants to put it on her tennis bag to make fun of Ger.
I think Stacy thought we were pleasant, but a little weird. And I'm just glad that she was enjoying her time with us.
It's important to keep her perception
I don't mean
there.
that in a negative way.
Look, I'm just happy that she specifically wanted the sticker to make fun of Ger at a tennis club with other people.
No. I deeply love that.
Life made.
Yeah.
Life 100% made. Because our podcast is 50% honest, truthful, from our heart affection for this gentleman, and 50% making fun of him so goddamn hard once a week for an hour over his weird sexual career choices.
I believe she referred to him as Forever Falstaff. And that feels like the most accurate description.
I must have missed that.
Yes. She goes, he's, but
I just teared up a little. That's too good. Thank you, Stacy, for that gift.
And like in the best, most like, when you have a really good friend and teasing is part of your dynamic, it's kind of like that, but we don't know him and he's not our friend at all.
But we still make fun of him now. This poor man.
It's not making fun of. That feels
harsh. I think you know
harsh.
him. He's just not your friend yet.
It's more of a, we are making fun of the character that he has presented to the world.
No, sure. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. I think we both agree that GCGI is meant to be a good-natured thing.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So after we had breakfast, a lovely brunch, really, with Nigel Bennett, and we took pictures outside, which are so much fun. Like it was like I don't know. It was a
very sweet.
unexpectedly emotional, sweet kind of brunch that we had.
And my favorite thing is the picture of you and Nigel, because he's looking at you with like such affection, and you're looking at him with such affection. Like it makes me tear up a little bit.
Where
it was wonderful.
Nigel is looking at you like,
teared up.
I'm so glad to have somebody here that cares about me as my career.
Right. I mean, it's
like the thing that I invested years in.
Yeah. And like an appreciation moment. Like who doesn't love an appreciation moment? Like we're here to appreciate you. And I feel like hopefully he felt that. So then we left from there because how do we celebrate having such a great breakfast? But driving all the way back to Toronto and dressing up as vampires and eating dinner at Selva. And my favorite part was explaining to our little Gen Z waitress that this used to be the film set for a television show in the 90s. And that's why we're dressed like this. And also, can we go behind the bar and take pictures? And
it's giving vampire bar.
She was like, I'll ask. She was really sweet, actually.
She was very nice.
Was really gracious.
She did not want to make out with me as much as the last waitress from Selva, which was really the only.
More it's a pity because you looked really good. You were very much channeling the spirit 100%. Of Jeanette. If Deborah Duchesne had left any of her in the like her spiritual energy, I feel like you took it with you because like
I did what I could to show respect to the place.
You did. It was good. It was good because you had your like I sent them off to a legit artist. Please make me Forever Night lenses. Look, I had some Pinky Promise lenses, which were fine.
If there's one thing that we can agree on, it is that if there is a bit to commit to, we shall commit to it. So
commitment was had.
There's a guy who's based out of. I don't think he's in Portland, Oregon. He's in Oregon somewhere, and he makes SFX lenses for TV and movies and stage plays and things. But it turns out you don't have to be a professional. You can just pay him money, and he'll send you contact lenses.
Pay professional.
So I was like, "Could you do you do custom lenses?" He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "What about Forever Night?" And he's like, "Abso-fucking-lutely." And I was like, "All right." So yeah, I sent him some pictures of like, there's a couple of scenes in Forever Night where they do an extreme close up of like Ger and Deb, and I was like, well, how about this? So I had my Forever Night styled glasses. I had my velvet choker. I had what else? I had the
opera gloves.
My black leather opera gloves, which thanks Etsy. Etsy really does have everything. My leather opera gloves, my thigh high velvet boots, which my only complaint is that those boots didn't have like a zipper or fucking anything, so you just had to like roll them down like stockings and then mash your foot into them. So at one point I was on the bed of the hotel room, and poor Matt, Rachel was like, "You got to stay in the bathroom for a minute, Matt," because my ass was in the air, my legs are pointing to the ceiling, and I was screaming, trying to mash my leg into that fucking. Because like, if you could just get your heel over the heel of the shoe, then you're fine. Everything else like follows in line. But like getting the fabric bunched up enough to get your heel enough purchase to get where the heel of the shoe was a trauma. It was an experience.
Yeah, so you laying on the bed, pulling on your one boot, going, "Why? Why are you like this?" Was, it was peak. And the best part was we like kidnapped Allie, who is our friend on Instagram. She's a good friend of the pod, and she was there, and we were like, "You want to come with us? Like, come on, we'll come."
She's like, "Well, I didn't bring asshole clothes," and we're like, "That's fine. You can be fine."
Amelia did not bring vampire contacts or fangs, which
fine.
I'm sure she has.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure she has.
They just weren't in her bag.
Right. So she came with us, which was great. I loved having her, but then it was like a trial by fire because then she's in this hotel room with us and Meg's like screaming, trying to put a boot on. Matt's hiding in the bathroom. We ended up having 15 minutes to get ready
because there was a mirror on the wall just to the side of the bathroom.
You would have seen directly up my butt.
Showed the whole room. Yeah. And we ended up like,
I was beyond
there was a ton of traffic getting in Toronto. So even though we left fairly early, we ended up like 15 minutes before our reservation getting to the hotel and having to like throw the keys at the valet and then running in and just being like, "Get the makeup on, get the contacts in, go, go, go." So we're like trying to get all of our stuff ready. It was a whirlwind.
It was an experience.
Indeed.
Well, the best thing is one of the reasons that there was so much traffic is that was the weekend of the Toronto Fan Expo, which is like the Toronto version of Comic-Con.
Yes.
So I want to make this very clear to the audience. we had plausible deniability for dressing like vampires in the middle of the goddamn day. What did we do? We did what we always do. We outed ourselves fucking immediately. Oh no, we're not here for the thing where everyone else is dressed like an asshole. We're here for our own thing.
Well, we were all walking down the sidewalk in downtown Toronto in full vampire outfit, fangs and contact lenses and clothes and everything.
I was wearing a slip dress, which I've never worn in public before.
And nobody looked sideways at us.
Nope. We were blended in.
We fit right in.
It was so much fun. Then we took pictures behind the bar, which was really fun. And we explained to the waitress why we were there. And we had a really good dinner. And then we all bundled in the car and went to the ROM after dark,
which was amazing.
Well, and I literally mean we all, like, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 of us. 5
6 or 7, yeah.
Like a bunch. We all got in one car, and it was really funny because Allie's the only one like not dressed up. So she was like, "Oh my God, I'm the familiar." Cracked me up. But then we went to the ROM after dark, which was so much fun.
She committed to the bit.
She was a very good familiar.
And Matt was dressed as she was a very good familiar. And Matt had his like 3-piece suit and cat eyes on, so it worked because it was cat themed at the ROM after dark. And so we got drinks at the ROM after dark, and they also had food.
And other people were dressed up, which I thought was funny because so the ROM after dark is presented, like if you Google it, it's just presented as once a month on a random Friday. The ROM is just open late, and there's like appetizers, like snack foods, and there are alcoholic beverages, and there's music. And there'll be like other like themed programming going on. And it's just meant for like young adults to like let loose one night in the city a month. And there's a different theme every month. So I was like, okay, it's going to be a lot of people wearing like club wear and like looking fancy. And I was like, we're going to stick out, but we frankly stick out everywhere we go, whatever.
And they had a DJ on the first floor.
Yeah. So we got there. And I knew that it was cat themed because they have changing, rotating exhibits. Currently they have a cat themed exhibit. So for the ROM after dark, it's cat themed. And I was like, okay. So Matt's showing up with his cat eyes. Like that might be like within the theme. That might be okay.
It fit,
so we showed up. There was a drag queen dressed like full head to toe as a cat. There were a bunch of
she was
great. There were a bunch of drunk girls with like little kitty cat ears and like black leather cat suits. There were a lot of people dressed exactly like me. And again, I was in vampire drag. So I was wearing a fucking slip dress and velvet boots. That's what they were wearing, like just like on their own regularly. And I was like, okay. So it was a lot of fun. I had a really good time. I will say my favorite part of the entire evening was back when we were at Selva, where I was sitting facing the window towards the street, and Selva is slightly underground, so the window towards the street is like right above ground level. So there were, so I'm like looking out at the window because I'm not going to stare at the floor. There were people walking by outside who saw that we were sitting there with yellow contact lenses, and they stopped what they were doing and backed up and peered down into the grate.
No, I didn't see that.
My favorite moment. They were like, "What?" And I was like, "Hello."
I remember you pointing that out.
I was like, "Hey, what up? I'm in a vampire bar from 1996. Hey, how are you?"
Selva, can you hang some chains, please?
Selva is still as ridiculous as it was a year ago, except they also added like mosquito netting for no reason. But the food is still really good. The food was still amazing.
Yeah. We got a cocktail tower. Did we get 2 cocktail towers or 1 cocktail tower?
I think we got 2.
I think we got 2, but it's sort of blurred.
And I drank more than half of each of them.
You were a champ, Matt.
They were half-priced cocktail towers, so
I'm
like,
doing my
you had
part.
to get 2 to get the real value out of it.
And they gave us like samples. The girl was like, "Oh, do you want like a sample of like what the mixed drinks are that come in the cocktail tower?"
She was so good. She was a great waitress.
Wonderful.
She was so good. Yeah. She let us go behind we couldn't go behind the bar, but we could go in the like wait staff area.
Yeah, just the very end of the bar.
And so we went back there and took some pictures, and then we took some pictures like at the end of the bar.
Allie photo directed me, which I appreciated.
Yeah, and then when we went to the ROM, we took a bunch of pictures at the ROM and like filming locations in the
such
ROM.
as the place from the pilot where Nick and what was her name, Elise, make out.
Elise Hunter.
I forgot the thing I'm like most proud of. When we went to see the ROM with the kids, I dressed like Elise Hunter.
You were cosplaying.
Absolutely.
I found
a what do you call it? Like a paisley skirt. I found like a big oversized pink button down, and I ran through the ROM like I was young Elise Hunter coming back from an expedition to Altoon Canal.
The past is the only dead thing that doesn't smell sweet. Edward Thomas.
That was my favorite part. I love that we keep going to like this prestigious Canadian institution, and then all that we really care about is like, can we hang by this pillar where Ger made out with a lady on screen 30 years ago? Can we reenact that? That would be fun. Yeah.
Yes. And then the next day we got out, we checked out of the hotel, like we got back, passed out. Actually, none of us slept
at all.
But then we left and we went and saw the church again, which was fun because Allie had never seen it. And so we did a cool video of like her standing beside the church where Nick stands.
As is tradition.
And then we got some pea meal bacon sandwiches.
Again, as is tradition.
So we did get our pea meal bacon. So I feel like that.
At St. Lawrence Market.
And I did it with the marmalade this time. I finally tried it because that's what Paddington's is famous for. It was really good. I recommend meat and marmalade like as a pairing forever now. I'm sold.
Oh, marmalade is so good.
It was really good. Yeah, it's a good sweet, salty combination.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then we went back and checked out of the hotel and drove back. And that was kind of the end of the festivities because from there we went to go get I went to go get my daughter and son who we had dropped off. So we like drove back to Stratford, dropped you off, continued on to Michigan, picked family up, came back, which that was the one time where the custom agent was like, you just left. Like, why are you back?
Oh, yeah. Crossing the border between the U.S. and Canada, going back into Canada, the border agent was like, you just crossed the border 9 hours ago. Why are you crossing again? And so I was trying to explain that we were at a campground.
I was like, we dropped the kids, and he was like, aha,
blah, blah, blah.
Have a great time.
Blah, blah, blah. And then Rachel said, oh, yeah, we dropped the kids off with family in Michigan, and now we're going back.
You didn't just hold up the handbook I prepared for you?
And he said, oh, kid-free weekend. Have a good time.
He was like, have a great time. Yep. Yeah, and then we came back.
So if you're trying to cross the border, imply sexcapades and no questions.
No questions asked.
They'll just let you through.
They're like, have a great time,
We wanted to fuck in Stratford, Ontario. Wow.
Canada's for lovers.
Who wouldn't?
And so anyway, Matt graciously gave up his seat because my daughter was very put out that she did not get to do any of the adult festivities. She's 10, but in her heart, she's 35. And she's not really sure why she doesn't get included. She's been
35 for the last 10 years.
She's like, you can cuss around me, Mama. It's fine. Like, I can hang out with your friends and you can all cuss and it's fine. I'm like, I know, honey, but I don't want to.
Let's all go smoke cigarettes together.
Like, I don't want to. And so she came with us to see 12th Night. So Meg and I and my daughter all went to go see 12th Night, which again confirmed.
We can't see late night Shakespeare.
8 p.m. Shakespeare is not the Shakespeare I want to see.
Well, and before we went, I paid for this whole trip like a little bird with little breadcrumbs like throughout the course of the year. And I had bought this dress that I was like so proud of because it's like this long black like Morticia Addams dress because it turns out I have a type. James Daly is correct. I dress like a vampire all the time. It's this long black Morticia Addams dress with like one long mesh sleeve and then one little mesh like shawl kind of over the other arm. And I was like, oh, it's going to be so pretty. It's going to be so great. So I was like, can't wear that to the Ger play. That's too on the nose. Instead, I wore a dress with a cape, which somehow is not on the nose to the vampire play, but was pink. So it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is going to be so great. So as we have mentioned, I only ate chocolate the entire trip. So my dress did not fit as loosely as perhaps it once did. So I had to have poor Matt and Rachel sausage tuck me into that dress so violently. They were stuffing meat back into that dress. It was so rough. I don't know how when I sat down, the whole thing didn't explode and like take somebody's eye out. But it was a trauma.
It was quite a joint effort.
It was a group effort. Yeah, we had to. You were like, suck in. I was like, I can't suck in anymore. so we strapped me into the dress. I couldn't even walk because my feet were so fucking ruined from my cheap ass Amazon high heels that I had bought. So I'm just like bloody footed, gingerly trying to walk into the theater.
like limping into the last play.
Hold on. Was this the one where I had to drop you off, drive back to Meg's Airbnb,
that
and then
was earlier.
jog back?
That was something rotten.
Yes, that's
the one that we almost missed. But luckily, I sat there and chatted up the ticket lady the whole time I was waiting for you. And so when you got there, she was like, "Go ahead."
You made friends everywhere you go.
They're still playing the Ashkenazi.
Oh yeah, before every play they did like an awareness of native land. Yeah.
Like Native American.
Yeah, they were still it wasn't dark or anything. It had just they'd stopped
they were still
seating
people.
But she was like, "They're seating people in the balcony. You go." And then we got to the door and the lady was like, "Excuse me." And the other lady came behind. She was like, "I let them go." And she was like, "Okay, I bet." Like,
well, and while you guys were trying to get in, I was sitting there with 2 empty seats next to me and a bunch of very kindly elderly people behind us going, "Oh, I hope they get here in time." And I was like, "Oh, me too. They're my friends." And they're like, "Oh, what happened to your friends?" Like we made friends with every old lady within 60 miles. It was wonderful. Because Stratford is, you have to realize, is like half school groups, a small percentage of like diehard theater people, and then the elderly. So like we found our niche with the elderly who were on the same wavelength as us. But
we did. Yeah.
So we stuffed me into the dress. And so you looked cute and Penny looked cute and I would look like a sausage. And so then we went to the play and I was like, "Oh, this is the one theater that has the big Stratford Festival sign outside. We should all get a picture." So we picked, there's like this young Asian woman who was like milling around outside with her date. And we're like, "Oh, could you take a picture of us?" And she was like, "I am on it." She was like an Instagram queen. And she was like bending down and kneeling and taking angles. And she's like, "Okay, you stand here and you stand here." And like, "I'm going to take an angle from here." She took like 15 photos and each of them is perfect. I was like, we picked the right person. Oh my God.
Wow.
Because earlier when we saw Cymbeline, when it was just you and I, Rachel, we asked this gentleman outside and he's like, "Actually, I'm a professional photographer." And I was like, "Oh my God, so great." And he took some photos of us and they're fine.
It wasn't the photos of us that he took that were fine. It was the, "Can I take a photo of you with my own camera?" And you're like, "Sure." And I was like, "Meg,
no,
that's going in the spank bank."
First off,
that's right where that's going.
We deserve it. I mean, he gave me his little business card. I haven't, I've been a little too afraid to check his to because I don't know. But like, I mean, he agreed to take a photo of us. He deserves to masturbate to us later. We were very pretty. And highlight of my whole life, that was the one night where I had tried to dress myself like people I have seen on Instagram. I really studied. I did so much work.
You did look good.
I had my cute little leather and mesh, and I had my little leopard print skirt, and I had my what do you call this? My little Doc Marten platform sandals, and I was like, "I'm a cool, hip, young goth girl on the town." And this girl, this very cool looking 20-something girl was like, "I like your style." And I was like, "Oh, that's never happened to me before. Thank you, Instagram." Like Instagram, like 10 years, just like left my face, 30 pounds off my ass. I was like, "Oh, yeah, a young person thinks I'm cool." And then of course, it was immediately like negated when we went to the Jays game, and she was like, 23-year-old, they're so old. And I was like, no, I was cool for a minute. But so we went, the Instagram model took our photos, which was wonderful. We stuffed ourselves full of chocolate. And then you and I and Penny all struggled so goddamn hard through 12th night. We all had such emotional trauma just trying to not fall asleep. And I feel bad because the acting was fine. It was great. One of the actors who had been in London Assurance normally plays the Sebastian role, like the male twin role. He wasn't on tonight. But Emilio Vieira, who was in London Assurance and in Romeo and Juliet, he was in this, and he did a really great job. But they didn't give him very much to do. He had kind of a small part, but I thought I really enjoyed him. I like him in everything he's in. I liked watching him in that. And there's a lot of the quotes that I've heard of, like famous Shakespeare quotes, apparently all come from Twelfth Night, because like I had never read the play, but like I was sitting there and I was like, "Oh, I recognize that line. I recognize that line." But I just didn't super enjoy. Like the style they did of it.
Well, I feel like when we went to see Much Ado About Nothing last year,
it was so
they
good.
had sets, they had costumes. It felt like it was really good. Like it felt like they had put money into it. And then I feel like every Shakespeare play that we saw this time was like, okay, we've got a costume set that looks like they're from the Middle Ages. Okay, let's give those to Romeo and Juliet. Okay, we've got a costume set that looks like it's from the 70s. Okay, let's set 12th Night in the 70s.
For no reason.
We'll give them a bush and a couple of spheres and one fucking chair. And that will be their entire set dressing, period. Like, that was the only thing that they had for sets.
Which bummed me out, because there were so many good actors in it, like, who I really enjoyed.
And they did great. They did great. And like this, you don't need a set to have a good play, but it really felt like the Shakespeare plays got short shrift.
Yeah, they got shafted this time around. And it was just...
Yeah, the mainstream Shakespeare.
And the one thing that you and I both discussed afterwards is there's a character who, in the play, is a male, like, as written in the play, it's a male character, who is the servant of this one female character, I guess, like the major domo, sort of like the one main male servant. In this version, the character's played by a woman. And I'm like, normally I love that. I mean, they did that in Merry Wives of Windsor. I love like a gender flip in casting, because for a lot of characters, like, it doesn't matter, or it might even add something. Like with the hostess of the Garter in Merry Wives of Windsor. I was like, that's great. That's fun. The problem this time is this character originally is the male character who's in love with his lady boss, and then everyone they call him crazy for reasons I don't really remember, and they put him in jail. When you gender flip that and you set it in the 70s, all of a sudden it becomes really, it's sort of hard to watch, because it feels like this lesbian character is being made fun of by all the other characters for her being a lesbian, and she's called crazy for being a lesbian. She's locked up and sent to prison for being a lesbian, and like, there's nothing that this, like, maybe in the play as written the character is more hateable. In this, she just sort of feels like
they're supposed
retentive.
to be very militant. Like, he's supposed to be militant and like the rule follower, and so they end up like tricking that character into a situation where they are not being the rule follower, and it seems so out of character that they think they've gone crazy and they put them in jail.
But like her level of like anal retention and attention to detail is not so obnoxious and annoying that it makes it funny that they put her in jail. At least in this version. In this version, it felt kind of upsetting, because it just sort of felt like
it doesn't play well.
This person is like a little, and like, I know we say this about every play we see, but like, she's like enough of a rule follower that it felt like she's like mildly on the spectrum, and she's a lesbian, and everyone's like, fuck that bitch, send her to jail and make her lose her goddamn mind and make her crazy. And then at the end of the play, she runs off swearing revenge. And I was like, okay, this is going to be that thing where next scene we have it all like made better somehow. We're all going to like explain it to her, and we're going to say we're sorry for being mean to her, and we're all going to like shake hands and be fine. That scene doesn't happen, maybe in the original play, but like in this version, she runs off swearing vengeance, end of play. And I was like, it left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. And I don't want to say, like, the actress did a great job. I really enjoyed her. I thought she really added a lot of humanity to that character. She made like she
played Hook too.
Yes, I remember hearing that that she did a good job in Hook. I liked her. I liked how she played it, but like the whole context of the play made it really uncomfortable, because it felt like this character that is not hateable is like a little goofy and a little silly, and the play fucking shits on her and punches down at her the entire time, and then there's no resolution for her except trauma.
And I kind of think it could have read as funny it could have read as funny if it was still a male character, and you have the male like hard ass character that you get to awkwardly confess their love to their female boss, and that boss immediately puts them in jail because their attempt to seduce them or their attempt to like convey their feelings is so awkward. It comes off as like actually unstable. Yeah. And so they put him in jail, and then he's in jail and he has to like write a letter to get himself out. And all of that could have kind of read as funny. But once they made it like, oh, it's a woman who's in charge. Haha, let's fuck this up.
It felt like punching down at her.
It's a lesbian woman who's in charge. Let's absolutely get her put in jail. Because I don't like that she's telling me what to do.
Even if we had done what they do in Merry Wives of Windsor, where they have that like everyone is friends now thing at the end, it like feels awkward and maybe not necessarily earned that they do that in Merry Wives of Windsor, but like it leaves us on a better footing. It leaves us on a better position, because the Falstaff character has faults and the wives are mean to him, and like we all kind of like shake hands at the end, like we realize that like all of us maybe could have acted better. Like all of us like had faults and had flaws and like we're mean, but like we're all buddies now and like we're all cool. Like we've all like accepted everyone else's apologies. Like if we had done a little scene like that, it might have saved it tone wise. But instead, when we left, I was just like, oh, I feel weird about that. Like I feel like the acting is great, and I thought it was cool, but like I don't like the 70s setting. I feel like you could have done either the 70s setting or make the major domo a lesbian. But like once you do both, it just feels somehow like double punching down to that character, and that character is like not the main character. Like I shouldn't be, that's the B plot. I shouldn't be thinking about the B plot the entire time. I should be thinking about the A plot, which is the cross-dressing girl who thinks her twin brother is dead and she's in love with her male boss, and this other lady is in love with her, and her male boss wants the other lady to be in love with him. Like that whole like love quadrangle, like that should be what I'm thinking about. But like no, the whole time I'm just like, oh, I feel weird about what you just did for this lesbian character. Like, you made this place so mean to her, and then we don't get any resolution. Like, there's like the main plot is resolved, but like I don't care because I just feel really bummed out by this like this B plot that swallowed the whole thing. But then, like, also as you said, it turns out that at 8:00 at night, watching a 3-hour Shakespeare play with a fidgety 10-year-old, like while I myself am fidgeting out of my skin in a dress that I was sewn into like a sausage was more than I could handle. And then afterwards, we were all starving. We couldn't find anywhere to eat except this one pizza shop. And that's when my body decided to murder me because I couldn't, I had these terrible cramps, like nothing, like, I don't know why, I don't know what caused them. Cause again, we didn't eat anything for like 5 days. Although now that I say that, perhaps that is why my whole body was
that may have, it just the mint meltaways. Like we were just existing on mint meltaways. I think at one point we got to a butter tart shop that was closing in 5 minutes.
You guys did. Yeah.
And we got half a dozen butter tarts and like that. We even went and got food intending to then eat that food, but we ate rotisserie chicken and meltaways for like...
I now have a theory why my body hurt me.
I had sores in the corners of my mouth. Like I had to go get B vitamin gummies because I couldn't, like my lips were cracking. I was so malnourished. Like it's... You're like, well, you could have just eaten. No, you don't understand. That wasn't on the schedule. I couldn't.
There was not room.
I couldn't do at what like before.
There was no time in the schedule.
Before the Jays game. Well, before the Jays game, like we're going to the Jays game and the kids are like, Mama, we're really hungry. And I was like, well, Meg wants us to get hot dogs in the Jays game. And I was like, fuck it. I went to like a street vendor and bought my kids hot dog. And the guy had grilled the hot dogs. And so they had char on them. And so my son was like, I can't eat this. It has black on it. And I blew the fuck up at this child. I was like, it is a hot dog. It still tastes like a hot dog. There are people who only eat grilled hot dogs. This is it's okay that it has black on it. Like I need you to, I was like, you eat this or you starve. And he was like, okay. And he like ate the hot dog.
That hot dog vendor definitely made a report about you.
I was like, I don't have anywhere else to get you food. I need you to eat this hot dog. It is my only option is for you to eat this hot dog.
Because you were right downtown. Yeah.
And he did. He ate it. And he was real game about it. And he's been better about hot dogs. Like, it was a good growth moment for him. But at the same time, it was just like, I could have handled that better. But I was also really hungry.
We were so hungry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We need to talk about this pizza restaurant. I have never been in so many restaurants that were completely unconcerned with me as a customer. Like, first we went to the Indian place where they were like, I don't know, fuck it. I forgot to bring your food. Sue me. Jesus Christ.
What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? You're just going to fucking eat it. Eat it, bitch. And like, that's how the Indian restaurant was. And then we went to I had placed the order online while we were leaving the play, knowing it was going to take us about 20 minutes to get there and then hoping we would have pizza when we got there. I got there and there is no one in this restaurant. There's no one behind the counter. There's no one. And this is not like
was this the random pizza place in Stratford next to the pie?
In the abandoned
no,
restaurant?
This isn't the pie place that's run by the like Mennonites. No, this was the like place that was by a grocery store. Everything else in the strip mall is closed. It's only this pizza restaurant. We walked in and it looked abandoned. And we stood there for like 5 minutes and finally a dude walks out of the freezer, which means he's been in the freezer this entire time. And he's on the phone and he like waves at someone off screen. And this lady walks around like, Jesus Christ, what? Well, there's fucking people here again? God damn it. I fucking hate when people come in the restaurant. And she literally walked up, pulls the the printed slip that somebody had pushed up there, which clearly printed when I ordered, and they just stuck it up and then hadn't done anything with it. And she was like, "This you?" And I was like, "Probably." She goes, "Do you want me to make it?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, I ordered a pizza so that I could eat. What do you fuck you think? And then the guy, she's like, "Oh," and she like turns and looks at the guy on the phone. He walks up, points at his phone and goes, "I'm in the middle of something here."
Okay, I missed all of this because between when we left the theater, when I got into the car, I buckled myself into the front seat. I then immediately folded in half, like perpendicular, like I was a right angle, because all of a sudden I had these cramps that went from my stomach all the way up to my lungs. I was like in my head trying to remember what the symptoms of a heart attack were. And I was like, there's no hospital here in Stratford. You're going to die if you're going to die. So I didn't see the road even. I was staring at my kneecaps the entire time. We get out of the car. I'm walking still bent over in half like a nutcracker. We get in there. When they let us in, I was like, "Is there a bathroom?" And I think I didn't say it loud enough because you were like, "She needs a bathroom," and pointed at me bent in half. And they were like, okay. So they led me around the back to like maybe not the cleanest food preparation area, but I didn't care because I was going to die. I went in there. I locked myself in the bathroom for so long, like my legs went numb from my toes all the way up to my belly button. I couldn't feel anything. Nothing was moving. Nothing was happening except for these like rolling, screaming cramps that didn't get any better and didn't get any. And finally, like they just kind of calmed down, but like still TMI, fine. Nothing happened. I was just praying for death. And I was like, this is where you die. You die in the Seek Pizza place, open at 11 o'clock at night in the abandoned shopping mall in Stratford. This is where the police find your body hunched over the toilet. That's how you die tonight. So I was in there long enough that I was like, Rachel's probably in the car eating the pizza or honking her horn. I came out. You guys were still fucking waiting, I think, for the pizza.
Right, because he was like, I'm in the middle of something here. And I was like, okay, but like I ordered a fucking pizza.
He was like,
20 fucking minutes ago. And so she walks over and starts like half-ass throwing pizza. The pizza ended up being fine. It was good, but it was made with hate. Okay. Like she was like throwing the shit on there and he's like still on the phone and he just picks up a rag and starts wiping stuff. And he walks over to me because I'm standing there in front of the cashier, like the counter waiting to pay. And he goes, "Excuse me, I'm cleaning here." What?
We don't have customer service in my country. I forgot to mention.
What is happening? Like, I don't expect you to like, you don't need to be nice, but you need to not be actively mean to me. Like I ordered 2 pizzas.
But it was sort of the theme. It was kind of the theme of every place we went. Because like, okay, so Tim Hortons, you've heard me say this like 100 times. Tim Hortons 20 years ago had different donuts than they have today. They stopped making some of them because I guess they weren't popular, but they were popular with me, Rachel. So they made this one donut that was called the Dutchie. It's a big square donut. It has raisins in it. That's all it is. It's like nothing special, but it's hard. Like where else are you going to get a donut with raisins? Like you can't get raisins in America. Americans don't like raisins. And like they stopped making this donut in Canada 20 years ago. So like I was stuck. Tim Hortons announced that they were bringing back this donut and like 2 other retro donuts from like 30 years ago. I was so excited. I was like, yes, like this is, I was like, I was planning in my head. I was like, do I bring the vacuum packer? How many boxes of donuts can I put in my luggage and get safely across the border and then stick in the freezer? And like, how long can they last in the freezer? I was doing fucking donut math. I was like in it. So we stopped at like 6 different Timmy's. Not a single goddamn one of them.
The first one I stopped at without you had them. And then none had them after that.
None.
Not a single one.
No. And then when we were driving to Toronto the last time for our very adult trip, we stopped at at like a roadside like restaurant gas station. There's like an Ontario government like rest stop area. And they had New York fries. And I was like, Rachel, look, it's food from my childhood. You need to eat it. Because that's the tertiary theme of all trips is I'm just like trying to stuff food into Rachel's mouth.
This time. Yeah.
So New York fries, it's a Canadian chain, which is obviously why we call it New York fries. And their claim to fame is that when I was a kid, is they would only sell French fries and gravy. And the gravy would be separate in a little cup. It was always like nuclear waste temperature, and you would dip your French fries in the gravy, and that was a fun little Canadian snack that we had. And they would serve you the French fries in like a drink cup, like a paper towel drink cup. So we get to the en route, And I was like, Rachel, look, New York fries, you got to eat it. So we get there and they only have poutine. And I was like, you bastards. And then they're like, well, I guess we could serve you like French fries, whatever. They only serve the French fries in the little poutine box. And I was like, oh, like when did you guys stop selling them in drink cups? And the people behind the counter were like, we never did that. And I was like, but you definitely, don't gaslight me. I know that's a thing that you guys use. I mean, you did it 30 years ago.
Before you were born, they served these in cups. I did get buttered chicken fries though.
And the look of like utter disdain for trying to talk to them was so thick. I was like, okay. And then I noticed that they were taking the French fries into the fryer out of a garbage can that had no liner. It was just a big fucking plastic rolling Rubbermaid garbage can. They were scooping out of into the fryer.
It's fine. It's high temperature oil. It's all comes off.
I was like, you're serving me garbage fries and you're not even doing it right.
I still ate my butter chicken fries. They were really good.
Were they good?
Yeah, they were good.
And then adding insult to injury is, like I said when we started this 2.5 hours ago, is I can only sort of taste. Like my taste buds are just totally shot to hell. So even though we got the gravy and we got the French fries, I could tell heat and I could tell sort of like if it's really salty or really spicy, I can tell. But otherwise, all food just tastes like nothing to me. So I was like, you served it in the wrong cup and I can't even taste it. I was so just, yeah, I think that was one of the themes of the trip was food service people fucking hating us.
Yeah, it was weird because last trip we had a great food time. Like we had the morning after or whatever, that place that we went for brunch.
Oh, that was wonderful.
We had
the brunch restaurant?
Killer fucking food. And then this time it was like, it was like bad juju food the whole time. It was like whoever made this dislikes you. Yeah. And so that's probably what you got the cramps from.
When we could find the food, because the rest of the time we couldn't. Every restaurant in town just rolled up the sidewalk and shut down.
It was closed.
Oh, such a bummer. Although I will say that fish and chips shop that's right by the Avon Theater was amazing.
That was
so good and so fresh, and the woman was so nice to us.
Excuse me, the Avon Theater.
Yes, correct. Yeah, I'm sorry, I say it wrong. Yeah, the Avon Theater because it's the Avon River, apparently. If you're in the know.
Yeah. It was good.
If you're a Stratford
there was definitely highlight meals. And Circle Cafe, when we finally went there, was really good.
I'm so jealous you guys got to go there after I left.
I will say their mac and cheese was somewhat subpar, but I am a mac and cheese
connoisseur. Gourmet.
Yeah, if you're gonna make noodles and put cheese on it, you gotta do it right. It was okay. I think I would
have
have
liked... Southerner. You're an aficionado.
I am a put shit on noodles aficionado. But I did have the breakfast, like I had the all veggie sandwich because it was literally like every time I opened my mouth to bite it, the corners of my mouth would bleed because I was so malnourished from the last week. So I was like,
because of all the chicken.
I was like, I'll get the veggie. So I got the veggie one. It was killer. It had mango aioli on it. It was really good.
So they're all over Instagram, and every time I open up Instagram and there's a new post from Circle Foods, I start drooling. I start salivating. It looks so delicious. But when we tried to, so Circle Foods is right next to that fish and chips shop.
They close at 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is frustrating in a town when the earliest play ends at 5.
Yeah.
Why would you close at 3? I need my dinner sandwich.
Yeah, you got to get there before. You're not going to make it after.
I know.
Yeah.
So next time we plan for a time when I can actually use my goddamn theater coupons. So towards the middle of the run, we aim for the daytime when Ger will have time after leaving the show for us to jump in front of his car.
Yes. We learned lessons. It was good. I think it was a great trip. I had a wonderful time. We learned valuable lessons. We went
about what our bodies can and can't take.
Differently hard this time than last time. And it was the kind of hard where we were hungry and a little bit cranky for more of the time than we should have been. But like what saved us was the mint meltaways because they were just like... They were so abundant.
Good. It's like raising children from infancy into toddlerhood.
Yeah. Well, now
it becomes a different kind of difficulty.
Yeah. So now we got it. Now I think we figured it out. Like I think we figured a lot out, and I think I'm ready for next year. And maybe
I'm really hoping he plays Macbeth next year. I'm hoping because we have seen him play Sexy Macbeth 2 times on film. I need to see Sexy Macbeth 1 time in person.
Yeah.
I need it.
I need it.
I feel like it's going to be either Ger or Graham Abbey as Macbeth.
I bet you Graham
Abbey will be in Macbeth. Banquo, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I think we should call it here.
We've only been talking for 3 hours. Are we sure we hit everything that we did?
Didn't get through everything.
We did. Have we gone have we literally our bar is baby baby. Is it longer than baby baby? If it's not, then we're all right.
It might be. On that note, friends.
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.